want to live forever, brother. You know, I'm not worried spiritually about this thing. I got my travel arrangements made. I got the deal upstairs already done, but it's mortally, brother.
What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto, like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1734 of Toronto Mic'd, brother. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer, brother. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville, brother. Toronto's Waterfront BIA. Check out what's happening on Toronto's waterfront this summer, brother. Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. Get your butts to Christie Pitts this summer for the best baseball in the city.
Brother.
Outside the dome, brother. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past, brother. Building Toronto's Skyline. A podcast and book from Nick Gaiini's, brother. And Ridley Funeral Home. An appropriate sponsor for this episode. Pillars of the community since 1921, brother. Today, returning to Toronto Mic'd live in the basement studio, it's FOTM Hall of Famer Stu Stone.
Thank you for having me back. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay.
You can talk over it. You're Stu Stone, for God's sake.
Big fun fact about this song. Do you know about this?
Well, hit me with all the fun facts today. We're going to cover the good, the bad, the ugly of Hulk Hogan. But please, what were you about to say about this song?
This was the theme for Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling cartoon program. But, did you know?
Because so far I knew that.
You knew that?
Yeah, I even have a promo loaded up. We'll play in a moment.
Actually, this is a song, like the bed of music is from Total Eclipse of the Heart.
No, you're wrong.
I'm wrong?
That's the other one. Right?
No, that's this one.
That's this one?
Yes.
Isn't that the real... Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay, so yeah. Yes, of course. She's Welsh. And Total Eclipse of the Heart was her... Ravishing. So if I... Okay, so yeah, we're going to be all over the place today.
I have a feeling... And it's also like the Meatloaf guy. Like,
no, you're right, 100%. We've covered this on a Pandemic Friday.
I can't believe my brain
Bonnie
is...
Tyler is her name.
Bonnie Tyler recorded like vocals over this song.
Yeah, 100%. Ravishing is the name of this Bonnie Tyler song.
And it ended up making it It was supposed to be Hulk Hogan's theme.
Jim Steinman is the...
Jim Steinman, that's right.
Meatloaf guy you're thinking of here.
So that's
here's what
song.
we're going to do. Let's see if I can pull this off here. Stand by, Stu Stone. Stand by.
Wow, we're off to a roaring start here. Just mind blows right off the bat. Yeah. Right. So there you go.
It's going to be all killer, no filler. We got to remember.
That? Right off the bat, Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling theme was actually a Bonnie Tyler instrumental.
Well, she sings on it, right?
Yeah, she sings. I'm saying his version was just, they stripped her vocals.
I was curious. We're going to cover a lot of ground. We lost as you would say, a remarkable character.
Yes.
That's a Stu Stoneism. I've been using it a lot. Remarkable.
There's nothing wrong with something that is remarkable being called remarkable. Yeah, so it's remarkable that Bonnie Tyler is singing over Hulk Hogan's theme here.
And just as like one of those big Jim Steinman songs like that he did with Meatloaf, etc. Okay, well, bring down Ravishing by Bonnie Tyler. We have a lot of ground to cover, but I want to give you your bona fides. So Please tell us, what is your involvement with the successful and fascinating series Dark Side of the Ring, Stu Stone?
Oh, we're just going right there.
Well, I got to build you up as a wrestling, expert.
Expert, sure.
Before we talk about the good and the bad and the ugly of the Hulk Hogan
I have been working on Dark Side of the Ring for, I've done over 40 episodes of the show. Fingers crossed there's another season coming. We'll see.
When do they typically make that decision?
They've already made that decision.
They just haven't told you?
They've told me. I'm just not sure.
Wink at me if it's
I'm just not sure if I could tell you.
Oh.
But we are
flirting with me,
we are
Stu?
coming in strong on this episode with right off the bat. But yeah, I've been working on that show and I love it. It's obviously a passion of mine, a subject that I absolutely speaks to me as someone who grew up in the Hulkamania era, which defined a lot of our generation, Mike. Got people who are a little bit older than me, a little bit younger than me. If you're within like that 10 years of a certain age group, Hulk Hogan and WWF at the time wrestling definitely grabbed you, brother.
Well, brother, it grabbed me in this era that you're referring to. So let's set this up for people who never listened to Pandemic Fridays or Toast with Stu Stone and Cam Gordon. We did that we did Pandemic Fridays, Stu, for 76 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and also when I was walking up to get into the studio today, I was like, man, I remember when Mike used to do the backyard episodes. Those were a lot of fun.
Remember the monsoon, the gorilla monsoon that opened up on us?
That was nuts.
And I accidentally kept the camera going because it just switched which camera because I unplugged the big one and then it was still using my MacBook camera. And you changed in front of the camera and people on the live stream were watching you change because you were soaked.
That's hilarious. And that's before I was, the man that I am today.
Do you remember what song was playing when the monsoon hit and we realized we had to get the fuck out of Dodge?
I
Do you
don't.
remember? It was Drowning Pool's Bodies.
That's perfect.
Let the bodies hit the floor. And I remember that adrenaline rush when Bodies was going full blast and the rain was coming down like nothing I'd seen during any backyard recording, that's for sure. And I realized we're going to have to get ourselves, COVID or not, and we all had to get to the basement. We violated all the rules to do that. And I remember Cam, he was the most, I think, COVID cautious of the three of us. And I remember him keeping a bit of a distance. He had a mask on, I think. That's
Outdoor
what was going
mask.
on. He had a mask when we had to move it to the basement. Well, I do have a quick note here. So lots going on here. It sounds like we're making up as going along, but I want to set up what wrestling meant to us in the early to mid to late, in the 80s. We'll stick to the 80s, and then we'll kind of talk about who Hulk Hogan was for guys our age. And then you can tell us, who he became and what happened next, because I sort of tap out in 1990 or something like that. But I do have a message from the aforementioned Cam Gordon.
Oh.
And Stu, I think it's important we listened to Cam before we talk about the Hulkster. This is Cam Gordon.
Hello, I will freeze. It's freeze. Ha ha.
Who is Cam Gordon imitating there?
Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan's WrestleMania 3 opponent. That's Cam. Basically, that's the thing that he did that made us friends. Cam was just a quiet, lanky kid sitting in the corner, not doing much. And then one day he busted out that Andre the Giant impression. Back when we were 14 or 15 years old, and it was we never looked back.
The rest is history. This is that Thornley,
yes.
Which has been covered in great length on this podcast.
Yes.
The good people from Noah Mintz to, correct me if I'm wrong, but Hayden. Both of them. The singer and what about
they were
the...
from Thornhill. I don't know if
okay.
they may have graced the halls. But, Moxie
and
Fruvis
Gian
was the big one.
Gomeshi was the big
Gomeshi.
one. And that was called...
Hayden Christensen is the Hayden
right,
you were
that's the
thinking
Hayden
of.
I'm thinking
not
of.
Hayden, not your Hayden.
Hayden Desser.
Not soccer dad Hayden.
But Hayden Desser was there, right? Because
Yes.
he was Bud's ahead of you. He's older, but Bud's with Noah Mintz,
Yes.
of course. And
Yes.
we know Noah sings on take.
He does. We learned that from your show.
And that brings us back to our first recording together, which just celebrated an anniversary the other day,
Wow.
your first visit to and that was thanks to Cam Gordon, who harassed me, quite frankly, as a Twitter director of communications at Twitter until I finally let the guy visit. And then he said, "You need to meet my friend Stu Stone."
And it worked out because here we are. We're, I'm an honorary member, not an honorary, an official member of the Hall of Fame. And, I'm chasing numbers now. Every time I come in the basement, I'm chasing numbers here.
So you mentioned that we played that song, and then it led to Bonnie Tyler's Ravishing.
Yes.
And I'm just going to play the promo I pulled.
Coming this fall, every Saturday morning, starting September 14, Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. So don't miss the fun and excitement with the Hulk, Rowdy Roddy Piper, and many more of your favorite World Wrestling Federation champs.
So I want to start by you sharing your stories, and then I'll chime in.
You know who played the voice of Hulk Hogan on that show?
No.
I could be wrong, but I think it's Brad Garrett.
Oh, that you know what? You're correct, and
Yeah.
that's the honest mechanic from Seinfeld and the brother from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he played the Hulkster. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about a magical time, man. A magical time. I can take you through what I can tell you about the rise of Hulk Hogan.
We want to hear you talk about the rise of Hulk Hogan.
Sure.
I'm sort of showing up for WrestleMania.
Yeah, so let's rewind a little bit.
Okay.
Because obviously this is a guy who, he put wrestling on the map in a lot of ways, specifically Toronto. That's why it's good to be here on the Toronto Mike Show talking about Hulk Hogan, because this market specifically was very, very Hulk Hogan, rich with Hulk Hogan memories. But we'll get there in a second. First off, before we start, just hearing that he died was pretty crazy to me.
How did you find out?
I was driving and I was on my way to go into a meeting, and right before I walk into the meeting, my phone just starts going nuts. People are like, Hulk Hogan. I'm like, what about him? They're like, he's dead. And I'm like, what? And it was like, wow, it's not like the same as when like Bob Saget died. And I was like devastated, like, holy shit, like that's my boy. But it was like devastating in the fact that like I was just with this guy. Like, I can't believe it. He's only 71 years old. He still looks good. Like when we saw him at the remarkable Donald Trump Republican National Convention, that was
to be discussed.
Yeah, that was pretty. That was, maybe not the most popular thing that Hulk did, but he still looked like Hulk. You know what I mean? He didn't look like he was on his way out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he looked healthy, but...
And Bubba the Love Sponge, if you know who that is.
Yeah, well, he's going to come up in this convo too. Of course I do.
So, I mean, he was the one who was kind of reporting that Hulk was dying like a month ago.
Right.
And everybody was like disputing that claim. Jimmy Hart, other people in Hulk's camp were saying that's not true. I believe, I want to say Sky News or some UK outlet was like saying that's not true. Hogan's home. 2 days ago, Jimmy Hart even said Hulk's doing phenomenal.
Right.
And then he just dies. Complications from surgery / a heart attack is what I've heard.
Now, we should kind of, because we lost Macho Man Randy Savage to a heart attack, right, when he was driving, if I remember correctly. A lot younger than Hulk got to be, but a lot of people were blaming steroids, weren't they?
Of course.
And I mean, we know because he was under oath when he was, I don't know.
Which we covered in an episode of Dark Side of the Ring. You should watch the steroid trial episode. It's hard to say, it's like obviously it didn't help.
Right.
But, we lost a lot of guys a lot younger who abused steroids who had like enlarged hearts and different complications.
Right.
Hogan was in his 70s, he's 71. So, I don't know. I'm sure it definitely contributed to it, but I think he also just had like too many surgeries, spine, back surgeries, and eventually your body just like can't do it anymore. But let's rewind before we start getting emotional about, or not emotional, because a lot of people don't like Hulk Hogan.
Well, this is what I'm saying. People were like asking me on Blue Sky. I know you're not on Blue Sky, but people were asked when I said you're going to come on, we're going to talk about Hulk Hogan. People are like, Are you going to talk about the Bubba the Love Sponge stuff? Like, people were concerned we were going to do like a glorify this hero. And I just want to be clear, we're going to talk about Hulk Hogan.
There's definitely two sides to this. And, on my Truth Social, I posted, I'm just kidding. But it's funny, but I called, I just sidetrack here for a second.
Yeah.
When I was on your show, I guess it was February, we were talking about Donald Trump. And I said that the fact that this guy was indicted and had 72, blah, 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 he was in court, he got shot, he was a pariah, January 6th. This guy we were never going to hear from him again.
Yeah.
I said the fact that he was able to rise up and win the popular vote and win the election was remarkable. And you have held that against me as if I'm some sort of like Make America Great guy since then. And you keep referring to that
Do
statement.
I didn't even notice if I did. Maybe I mentioned it once with Cam and Tyler.
Well, even to me when we walk down the stairs right now. So I just want to clarify, like, that is remarkable.
No, I don't think it is remarkable, but I think that of all the words to use to describe, that's a very careful, kind way to express what's happening.
It is. It's like, it actually is crazy. Like, if you were, canceled for saying crazy stuff, and then all of a sudden your podcast came back and you were on the cover of the Toronto Sun next week, I would say that's remarkable.
Right. Okay, well, I apologize.
Let's go back to Hulk.
So, because I think the life and times of Hulk Hogan, and we're going to get into it from the early days, we're going to go on up. I think it's remarkable. And I think, warts and all, it's an interesting, fascinating character to discuss.
Yes.
Because we're going to hear from you first, Stu Stone. But I will tell you what Hulk meant to me in 1985, 1986.
For sure. And I'm not here to defend things that Terry Bollea said that were captured on camera that, like, pretty much buried him.
Racist things.
Yeah, I'm not
like very racist.
Of course.
Things.
So that's why I'm not saying that he's the best guy. That's like, let's get that out of the way. We're just here to talk about when we were kids and clueless to all of that. Just like we were clueless to whatever Bill Cosby was doing. These guys this is who was pushed to us by the media. Everybody was pushing these guys as heroes on us. So we are just the innocent victims here to have these heroes that maybe shouldn't have been heroes to begin with. But I digress. Let's rewind.
Okay.
Hulk Hogan was a bass player in a rock and roll band in the Tampa, Florida area. And I don't know how good of a bass player he was because I never saw him, but I've seen him sort of play bass in wrestling sort of circumstances. But I don't know how good he is or isn't good. But he was in a band, and apparently a lot of the wrestlers used to go see this band. It was like sort of a popular outfit on the beach scene back then. And Hulk, he was obviously stood out. Most bass players in bands are like the tall, lanky guy.
Right, like Chris Novoselic.
Sure. Cam Gordon would have made a good bass player.
100%.
But Hulk is 6'7" or something like that. So he really stands out. And some of the wrestlers are like, hey, would you ever think of this? And apparently, from different interviews that I've done, there was a territory in Florida, in Tampa, Florida Championship Wrestling, which was a hotbed for wrestling in the 70s and early 80s. The Graham family was the promoters, Eddie Graham, who tragically, there's a lot of suicide in that family. We did an episode on that as well. But sticking to
Dark
Hulk.
Side of the Ring.
Yes. Sticking to Hulk, though. Hulk used to go to the matches. And there's wrestlers that I've spoken to who remember wrestling there. And you had Dusty Rhodes was the big star in Tampa. A lot of the big names that we know of from wrestling started in Tampa. And Hulk was one of those guys that was hanging around. And eventually he linked up, from what I understand, he linked up with superstar Billy Graham. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Superstar Billy Graham is basically Hulk Hogan. Now, we did an episode on Superstar Billy Graham in the past season of that. It's available on Crave. You should watch it. It's really an amazing episode.
You do a great job on Dark Side of the Ring.
I appreciate that. And so do the team. It's not just me, but I appreciate it. Superstar Billy Graham was the original Hulk Hogan. Wrestling was black and white, and then Superstar Billy Graham came. And he was wearing the tie-dye, and he had the 22-inch pythons, and he said, brother, 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 and he ripped his shirt off, and he was Hulk Hogan. And Hulk basically offered to drive Billy Graham around, and he sort of got to know Billy. And, you know, back then, in wrestling and in music and in comedy, you know, we didn't have the internet, obviously. We didn't have the internet. And if something was working in Tampa, you could go do that same thing in Alabama and no one would know that it was happening in Tampa. So in wrestling, for example, you had all these guys as the Sheik in different places. You had all these guys doing like a Nature Boy gimmick. You had guys doing like the animal gimmick. So naturally, people started doing like Superstar Billy Graham stuff. Well, Hulk Hogan did it the best because this guy was the real deal. He's 6'7", he's 300 plus pounds. He's a monster. He ends up getting an opportunity to become a wrestler, and he's not like the best, but he's definitely got the look, right?
Right. You know, he had the look, absolutely.
Yes, and Vince McMahon Sr. sees Hulk and is like, I need this guy in New York, because New York was a big man territory. They bring Hulk to New York, and Hulk is a bad guy wrestler in New York, and he's managed by Classy Freddie Blassie. He actually wrestles Andre the Giant a bunch of times before, you know, even though the WrestleMania 3, which we'll get to, is advertised as the first time meeting, it's not. Right. They met many times, and Hogan even slammed him many times, and a lot of people slammed Andre before WrestleMania 3, but who knew, right?
Right.
We didn't know.
Right.
So anyway, there's a call that comes in for Hulk to be a part of the Rocky 3 movie. And Vince McMahon Sr. does not want to let Hulk go do this.
How come?
I just feel like he probably doesn't want to. He's got his thumb on Hulk.
He doesn't want to lose him to Hollywood.
He doesn't want to lose him to Hollywood. He's got his own plans, right?
Because that's an amazing movie and an amazing role for Hulk.
It certainly is. And, you know, later on, the same thing would happen with Sergeant Slaughter. G.I. Joe would call, and Vince didn't want him to go do that. And Slaughter was like, well, I'm doing it. See ya. So Hulk goes and does Rocky 3.
Yes, sir.
Rocky 3 is lightning in a bottle, because Rocky 3 has Hulk, Mr. T also.
Yes.
The two of them become household names, because Rocky 3 is one of the biggest movies of the early 80s, right? Every kid saw Rocky 3.
Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger, Mr. T, and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, Clubber Lang.
And Mr. T obviously ends up becoming one of the biggest stars in the history of pop culture for that run that he had with A-Team in Rocky 3.
He better not die anytime soon.
I hope
We're
not.
losing our icons.
We are. Side note, I do remember going to Toys R Us Plaza, the same Toys R Us where Sluggers would eventually be. Mr. T was coming in to do an appearance. Me, along with thousands of other kids, waited at the store. Mr. T did like one walkthrough of the store, and I remember getting in there and like touching him on his like camouflage Converse, and it was like the most exciting thing ever.
Do you remember that Simpsons? You watch The Simpsons?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, do you remember when Homer's telling that story about the time he was going to see Mr. T at the mall, but he decided, I'll see him next time, but he never came back, and Homer's like weeping, telling this great regret. All right, so you got to see Mr. T. And so again, I have a couple of years on you. It depends which birth year we believe in the Stu Stone legacy, but I have a couple of years on you. And so I was there, and Mr. T was everything. You know, Pee Wee Herman was eating Mr. T cereal.
Oh, yeah, Mr.
Pee Wee's
T had
Big
a
Adventure.
cartoon also. Mr. T, and he had like these gymnastics kids or something with him. They were solving crime.
Oh, TNT. Was that TNT?
That's a live action
that's
show.
later, and that was filmed here.
In Nirvana, that was the My Pet Monster connection there. But let's go back to Hogan.
Okay, Hogan. So we have the character that we need to focus on here is Vince McMahon Sr., and then Vince McMahon Jr. doesn't want him to do this Rocky 3.
Vince McMahon Sr. doesn't want him to do.
Oh, Sr. doesn't want him to do it. I got you.
Somewhere in between this timeline, Jr. takes over wrestling from Sr.
He buys it from his dad.
Yes. And Hulk obviously becomes a huge star. Thunderlips. A huge star. And now Hogan's wrestling in Minnesota for a promotion called AWA.
Okay.
Vern Gagne is the Gagne family. And it's the rest, you know, that's that territory, and it's based out of Minnesota. But Hulk starts doing the Hulkamania thing, and he's a good guy, and it's really taken off. and Vince McMahon has plans to go national with his company, and he needs his big star. And he had Jimmy Superfly Snuka, who was he was super popular.
Right.
But then Superfly gets involved in a murder where his girlfriend gets killed at the side of a road, and Superfly's got to get off the road. Well, who's going to be their guy? Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan decides to take the money and come to join Vince Jr., and that's where WWF really becomes, Hulk, they hot shot him. They put him right in there with the Iron Sheik. Hulk beats the Sheik at Madison Square Garden, becomes the champion, and Hulkamania goes from like a Minnesota thing to like a worldwide phenomenon.
Okay, we're going to pick it up there because I'm going to play a little clip of the Iron Sheik. You just mentioned him talking about Hulk Hogan with a pretty damn good interviewer. Here we go.
I have to ask you, Sheik, of course, Hulk Hogan is a name that usually comes up when you're on shows, and I'm not here to say that Hulk is the greatest. I just want to know if you were to fight Hulk Hogan today in a rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship, who would come out on top?
Good question, Stu. You have your glasses.
Yes.
Can you read that medal? What year? What sport? Hold it and read it for me.
All right.
please.
It says Greco-Roman Wrestling, 1971.
Excellent. Read another size. What country?
The Union of the United States. This is a gold medal right here.
Yes, what country?
United States of America, is it not?
God bless you.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm going to ask you one question.
Yes.
You want to tell me that Hollywood blonde jabroni Hulk Hogan have that gold medal?
No, he doesn't have that.
God bless you.
Yeah,
Now, you know who is the man.
Yeah.
Hulk Hogan come on the TV, said, take your vitamin, do your pray, and go work out. Fuck you, Baba. You do yourself testosterone. Jacko, look yourself in the mirror, put the shot of Jacko in your ass. How can you be the good voice or general for American young generation? Hulk Hogan, everybody know, without Iron Sheik, you will still be working the gay bar monster.
Oh,
That's amazing. He was a bouncer at a gentleman's club at one point. That Sheik never really let that go. But that's really funny that Sheik is calling him out.
yeah. He's shooting him on him right there.
Yeah, and he's talking obviously about steroid use, which we'll get to. I guess I can fast forward through the rise of Hulkamania. But, much like Superstar Billy Graham, Superstar Billy Graham's kind of like the Jose Canseco of wrestling. He's the one that kind of like popularized steroid usage and kind of like taught a lot of these guys how to even do it. And, Hulk was definitely, along with probably 90% of his peers were using steroids back then. And maybe when they first started using them, they weren't even illegal. They were just out there. They became illegal when when the Olympics and actual sporting events got involved. And since wrestling was deemed a legit sporting event until that time, then it became kind of cloudy. That's when Vince had to change it to sports entertainment and sort of admit that what it was, because otherwise
Predetermined outcome.
Yeah, otherwise he's going to have to be scrutinized like boxing or any other athletic competition.
Like baseball. Wow.
So anyway, Hulk, largest arms, what's his name? Superstar Billy Graham had the 22-inch pythons. Hogan had the 24-inch pythons, But, you talk about from a branding standpoint, Hulkamania, the red and yellow, you think about Hulk Hogan. And, Toronto was a hotbed territory, the Tunney family.
Yeah.
Jack Tunney presents another Power Pack card. Him and his brother Frank, they ran Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yes.
They had the Sheik in the 70s and 60s, and they had Hulk in the 80s. And, man, Hulkamania was definitely running wild in Toronto. We had wrestling on CHCH.
Don't you dare miss it.
On Saturdays and Sundays, twice on Saturdays, once on Sundays. So 3 hours of WWF was on CHCH on the weekends alone. And then you had WUTV, Channel 29 out of Buffalo that also showed wrestling on the weekends. So, every weekend we had, if you were a kid, after the Saturday morning cartoons were over, wrestling was on. And that was an extra hour for you to before you went outside for the day till your mom called you in.
We were the perfect age, Stu. Like, this was just like, we were born at the right time for this movement in the mid 80s.
100%. And like wrestling went from like smoke-filled like high school gyms to arenas with like good lighting. And like Dick Ebersol sort of gets involved, and they do Saturday night's main event, which changes the production value for WWF moving forward forever, because like that slick, glossy look, that's basically that's what separated WWF from everybody. The production value, not to mention Hulk, but you know what I mean. It looked like a better product.
For sure. Like, we're building up Hulk here because he was larger than life and he was so
the guy.
huge.
Yeah,
but I want to like give people a taste of the kind of promos he would cut and what the kind of energy. So
heavyweight champion of the world, Hulk Hogan from Venice Beach, California, putting that coveted title of his on the line against none other than the Brutus Beefcake.
Well, you know me, Gene, I like getting on in Oakland, California, man, because I kind of get to bend the rules a little bit, because all those Hulkamaniacs out there, they're just like my man Stallone. First blood, man, instinct alone. Go for broke no matter what it takes. Hang on to that WWF title.
You know, Hulk, you've got a little bit of that Rambo in yourself, you know.
You know, you're exactly right. That's why the people of Oakland get off on me. They don't care if I come riding up in a big long limousine or with a 24-inch pythons hanging off a big hog. But the thing is, Brutus Beefcake, #1 contender, brother. This is more than just a war, more than just a wrestling match, man. You broke the hillbilly's leg, intentionally, I might add, after he had the dude almost beat Mean Gene.
Indeed, I recall that down at San Diego, yes.
And there's one other thing. This big, bad #1 contender, Brutus Beefcake, who admits he's from San Francisco, no big deal, has been hanging around with one Greg the Hammer Valentine, another dude that likes busting people up and breaking them up, you know. So the way I figure it, with Beefcake in the ring, he's going to have that sleazy manager, Johnny Valiant, in his corner. His #1 priority is going to be to get this belt. But if I don't watch my back, they're going to try to bust me up. That's not going to happen in Oakland.
You had better believe in Oakland, the Coliseum Arena this Monday night. Hulk Hogan to the...
That's amazing.
Yeah, just even hearing that now, the pangs of nostalgia, I feel how much time I spent. I loved watching these promos. In a minute, I'm going to play something with Randy Savage, because Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage were the two biggest stars of WWF in this period, and I was all in. He was my main entertainment.
He, you know, and that's before he did What You Gonna Do When the Largest Arms Come Out. Like but that's before that interview. And Beefcake, it's interesting that promo was on Beefcake. Another episode we did on Brutus Beefcake you should watch on Dark Side of the Ring. But Beefcake and Hogan were best buddies, and they were even early on. They were a brother tag team, like the Boulder Brothers. But Hogan brought Beefcake to WWF back then. That was Beefcake's sort of into the wrestling business was through his buddy Hulk. So anyway,
and it was Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine were the
dream
big tag team. The dream team.
So getting back to Hulk coming back to WWF. Now I mentioned Minnesota, the AWA at the time. They also had Hulk, they had Iron Sheik, they had Bobby the Brain, they had Jesse the Body and Mean Gene, amongst others.
Wow.
Vince got them all.
Wow.
He basically poached the entire roster and brought them to WWF. Turned out to be a great move. Anyway, Hulk and Mr. T, really, you know, he's the secret ingredient here, because the first WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan teams up with Mr. T in the main event to face Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, who would later be a Toronto main event CNE.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. Don't worry.
But, Mr. T, I mean, you talk about Mr. T and Hulk Hogan, the two biggest sort of, for young, impressionable youth growing up in the 80s, it doesn't get much bigger. I mean, maybe Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone are in that conversation too, but they weren't as accessible. You couldn't watch those guys every Saturday, every weekend. And Mr. T on the A-Team was on once a week. These Hulk and Mr. T was not only lightning in a bottle, it was like lightning in 20 bottles. It was the most perfect storm that Vince McMahon scratched that lottery ticket and got those two together. WrestleMania, obviously, at Madison Square Garden, a huge hit, a huge success. And, wrestling just sort of takes off.
And what year was that?
That was 85.
85. So this is when I'm basically joining the WWF fandom is
Yes.
1985. I want to ask you about a woman, Cyndi Lauper.
Yeah, she's just as much a part of all of this as Mr. T, for sure. You talk about the perfect storm for Vince. He has Hulk and he has Mr. T, and then Cyndi Lauper. She does the music video for Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and she's got Captain Lou Albano in her video, who,
Yes.
for people who are of a certain age, they'll remember the captain. He was
Hey, I got my
Yeah.
George the Animal
Yeah.
Steel right here, everybody. A
There you
gift
go.
from the great Stu Stone.
So Captain Lou convinces Cyndi to get involved in wrestling, and now that's the rock and wrestling connection. Now MTV just was starting out as well. MTV was in its infancy.
Yeah, they started in 81.
And the very first wrestling sort of the first chess move on the board for Vince was to get the war to settle the score, I think it was called. Hulk Hogan was going to fight against Roddy Piper on MTV. Wow. That predates WrestleMania.
Wow.
That really, that puts wrestling into the pop culture for the young people. If you were on MTV, you were an instant star, instantly. And Cyndi Lauper was as big of a star as you could be at that point, right?
And of course, the video for Goonies Are Good Enough for Me
Sure.
features a
All the
bunch of
wrestlers.
classy Freddie
Sure.
Blassie.
Iron Sheik is in
Iron
there,
Sheik's
too.
in there, yeah.
So anyway,
Rowdy Piper.
the celebrity and the rock and the wrestling, it all takes off. We get the cartoon,
Well, here, so I wanted to ask you a quick question. So you mentioned the opening theme to that cartoon was that dun-da-dun,
Yeah.
dun-da-dun, which we played a little bit of. I think there's background vocals on that song from Cyndi Lauper. Like, I think, if I play it here for a moment here. So let me go fast forward a little bit here. Oh, there's no lyrics on this, right? Okay, then maybe it's the next song. Okay, so let me ask you. It's a good time for me to ask you. I'll elegantly bring this down. Let me ask you about this song.
Real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life.
It's interesting that earlier this year, Rick Derringer died.
Yeah, he did.
So remind us, whose theme was this before Hulk stole it?
It was Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda, the U.S. Express. They were a tag team that was getting pushed, and then when Barry Windham left the company, the song was available, and Hulk was using Eye of the Tiger at the time.
Which I discussed with Scotty Mack a few weeks ago. We
There you
talked
go.
about
Yeah.
that because I was talking about Eye of the Tiger. We were kicking out eye jams.
Well,
on
here's the
Toast.
thing, like Hulk came out to Eye of the Tiger, and Junkyard Dog came out to Another One Bites the Dust by Queen, and they weren't really clearing these songs. They were just using them. And as soon as, they started getting onto NBC, and it wasn't just like syndicated, 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday programming, they had to start looking at getting songs that they owned, that they didn't have to pay for.
Right.
So they made the wrestling album. And of course, the wrestling album, some say Simon Cowell is the guy that was behind the wrestling album. Others would disagree, but he was involved eventually.
Really?
But,
I didn't know that.
When something became popular in the 80s, 90s, and even in the 2000s, it's like still a business model that still kind of works, but not like it used to. But if somebody became popular in one form of media, they would get an album.
Right.
They would get a movie, a cartoon.
Like William Shatner would put out an album.
Sure, you would try Paris Hilton. It's like if somebody became popular, Lindsay Lohan. It's happened throughout the course of history.
I think Cyndi Lauper's doing backgrounds here.
That does sound like her. That's
her.
definitely her. Yeah, that's her.
And do you remember her handle on the wrestling album? Mona Flambe.
Oh, that's so funny.
Remember this?
Yeah.
And I still remember the chatter between the songs and the wrestling album, which I fucking loved,
Yeah.
as you know.
So they did
It's
that
like-
wrestling album, right? And
Well,
they,
yeah,
they ended
yeah.
up doing several wrestling albums, and it was pretty successful. But the music was actually the wrestlers' theme songs, and it worked out.
Grab Them Cakes.
It really worked out.
Or Cara Mia was performed by Nikolai Volkov.
It was.
Oh, and Mean Gene Okerlund, Tutti Frutti.
Sure.
And For Everybody, which, of course, was like a
Roddy
cover of
Roddy
a song
Piper.
called Fuck Everybody.
Yes. And we can't leave out Roddy Piper when we talk about the stars of that era. But, so, Hulkamania is running wild at this point. In 86, they do WrestleMania, Hogan versus King Kong Bundy. steel cage match. Saturday night's main event is a #1 kind of watched show. Wrestling is huge at this point. They do a stadium show in Toronto.
Okay, let's talk about this. This was billed, I always called it Hulkamania.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But then Jason Agnew told me it was called The Big Event.
Yeah, well, that's what they rebranded it for home video.
They rebranded it because
Yeah.
I remember thinking because I was there with you, right?
It was called Hulkamania, but the VHS release was called The Big Event.
Well, a
because
note
they already had 7 other videos called Hulkamania,
Gotcha.
so they had to.
I got you. They got me to buy a ticket too with my buddy Chris. We were there, but I got a note from Cam Gordon.
Okay.
Stu was at that same, quote, big event at CNE in '86. I recall he was there with DJ Farbsy. Whoever the guardian was that night didn't want to waste time visiting the men's room with the kids, so Farbsy filled a discarded cup with urine, which was then hurled 10 to 15 rows backwards to dispose of it. True or false, Stu?
My involvement is not true. Is false, but
No,
like
they
the
said Farbsy
story.
did it.
The story is true, and apparently, weeks later, some Farbsy's grandfather ran into the guy who got hit with.
That's
the,
unbelievable.
Which I don't know.
There was 60,000
yeah.
people there.
What are the chances of that? But that's urban legend.
So we were there. That was Paul, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, so
Orndorff.
they ran a big angle on television that I'm sure Scotty Mack knows all about. Paul Orndorff and Hulk Hogan were teaming up against King Kong Bundy, and most of your viewers have probably turned off the show by now.
No. We're gonna have lots more. We're gonna
stick around for more than
it's
just
not
wrestling.
just Hulk Hogan.
But Paul Orndorff turned bad, and he turned up his back on Hulkamania. One of the biggest, when I was a kid, that was like a moment that really it stuck us.
Yep.
And Hogan was going to get his revenge against Orndorff at CNE Stadium. A record crowd was going to attend, and it was going to be the biggest wrestling show on planet Earth. And at the time, it was.
Was it 65,000?
Something crazy like that. I can still vaguely in my head remember the helicopter shot over where you could just see the ring is like this big, and there's just so many people there.
Well, you knew it was a lot of people because both Stu Stone and Toronto Mike are at this event. That's how big it was.
I'm not here to dispute that. I'm here to tell you that it was fucking big, man. And it was so big.
Dispute what? It's fact. You were there. I was there.
That you were there. I don't know if you really were.
I was there.
You were working the grandstand
I can show you my
that day. Like Joey Jeremiah.
That's the Rolling Stones argument.
Right.
Okay.
So,
good callback. Joey Jeremiah.
They end up getting... Vince sees the success of this stadium show and books the Pontiac Silverdome for WrestleMania 3.
Right.
He sees, okay, I can fill a stadium in Toronto. Detroit is not that far from there. I could do this again.
It's a bigger stadium.
We just need, we can't do Hulk and Mr. Wonderful. So what are we going to do? And that's where Cam Gordon's impression comes in. And Andre the Giant, who is like a lifelong good guy, Andre the Giant, who was always a good guy his whole career, turns bad.
Yeah.
And he wants his shot against Hulk. And WrestleMania 3, probably the catalyst, probably the biggest wrestling show in the history of the business. Hulk versus Andre. Main event, depending on who you ask, 100,000 people or close to are there. 93,000, whatever they said. It was an attendance record at the time. Hulk slams Andre, beats Andre, and we're off to the races in ways we've never thought before. And in some ways, that's the peak of the Hulk Hogan era.
It was the peak for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's the peak for me because I start to, grow up, get other interests, lose interest in the predetermined outcomes. But can I play another Hulk Hogan promo?
Sure.
We are counting down to WrestleMania 3 at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. Of course, on Sunday afternoon, March the 29th, heavyweight champion of the world, Hulk Hogan. I cannot believe that the pressure is not starting to get to you. A title defense against your former friend, now bitter enemy, Andre the Giant. In his corner, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and you know what people are saying all around the world.
I don't care what the people are saying around the world, man. I want to live forever, brother. I'm not worried spiritually about this thing. I got my travel arrangements made. I got the deal upstairs already done. But it's morally, brother. Andre the Giant is the only reason I can't live forever, man. I've seen the little Hulkamaniacs. They're trained in the prayers, the vitamins. They're going to live forever. Hulkamania is going to live forever. And if Andre the Giant physically destroyed me, physically wiped me out, physically took the belt, maybe the little Hulksters wouldn't believe that you gotta play it straight, that you gotta keep your head high, man. Andre the Giant, Hulkamania will live forever. And in front of 93,000 people, brother, with the whole world watching on closed circuit TV, you will feel the power of the largest arms in the world. You will feel the wrath of the Hulkamaniacs, Andre the Giant. And if I get you down in a compromising position, there will be no mercy, brother. I'm gonna think about the time when you tore my shirt, when you ripped the cross, when you tore the heart and the souls out of all those little Hulksters, brother. And if nothing else happens, man, if nothing else happens, I'll get you for that.
All right, the heavyweight champion of the world with perhaps his biggest test ever.
Unbelievable.
And tell us what happened to conclude that match, Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant.
Slam me, boss. Hulk Hogan slams that big, nasty 700-pound giant, as he would later on claim, and the place erupts. The roof of the Silverdome basically pops off, and Hulkamania is off to the races. And, you know, like I said, that might be the peak, but there's definitely, you know, wrestling has a stranglehold on pop culture for another 3-4 years. You know, the next year, Hogan would start getting into Hollywood and doing movies. He did a movie called No Holds Barred, so he took some time off. Not a good movie, but, you know, I saw it. They give the belt to Macho Man Randy Savage in 88. Hulk loses the belt. Sorry. Let me rewind. Hulk fights Andre in a rematch on NBC.
Right.
In February, I want to say, of 88. And over 30 million people watch this. Yeah. Hulk Hogan loses the belt to Andre the Giant. It's on the front page of the Toronto Sun. I think I still have that somewhere in like my hoarding stash of stuff that I didn't throw away. But it was like front page news that Hulk Hogan lost, right? That sets up Macho Man Randy Savage, and then they have the Mega Powers, and the Mega Powers explode. Ooh, Elizabeth, like, you know, Macho Man thinks that Hulk's got eyes for Elizabeth. They have a WrestleMania 5 match with Hulk winning his belt back from Macho Man at the remarkable Trump Plaza who hosted back-to-back WrestleManias 4 and 5. That brings us back to Toronto for WrestleMania 6.
Okay, wait, pause there.
Okay.
So WrestleMania 6. I want to play a little bit of that Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage,
sure.
Joining forces.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a taste of it a little earlier on here on Saturday night's main event when the madness met the mania. I am talking about Macho Madness and Hulkamania, two mega powers meeting here tonight. Hulk Hogan, what is happening?
Well, you know me, Gene, we really don't know what we're dealing with here, man. And I'm just kind of a little worried about locking up here.
It's all right.
Because we just might blow the whole planet up, you know. Everybody knows that Hulkamania is the strongest force in this universe. But when I hit that ring and I saw what the madness was all about, I realized there was a whole nother universe out there, a whole nother frontier, and the power of the madness and the mania just blew my 24-inch guns out, man.
You mean to tell me there is another solar system, Macho Man?
Unbelievable. I'm still in a state of shock right now. In fact, I don't think I'm going to be coming down for a long period of time. Yeah, reckless abandon is what I used to be. Yeah, but Elizabeth opened up my eyes, and the big man right here, the big man, yeah, he endorsed Macho Madness, and he gave me direction. Yeah. Reckless abandon used to be, but direction now with the mega powers. Yeah. Mega powers, yeah. I feel the power now. I feel the power right there, big man.
Sure, it wasn't
yeah.
a hit over the head, Macho Man.
Oh, no, man, I'm all right. I've never been better, yeah.
Don't you worry about the hit over the head, man. I'm just worried about where we're going from here. Is it this stratosphere, man? Is it the ionosphere with the madness and the mania as one guiding force? We could go ahead and take the whole
I cannot believe this. And all that has happened here on Saturday night's main event. The Mega Powers, the Madness, Macho Man Randy Savage, and the heavyweight champion and Hulkamania.
There you go, Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage.
Unbelievable.
Those, did anyone cut a better promo than Randy Macho Man Savage?
It'd be pretty tough to find somebody. He's up, he's on the Mount Rushmore of
He's
talkers.
remarkable. Do you know who does a very good Randy?
Scotty Mac.
Scotty Mac.
He does.
Jeez. Okay, we're going to talk about Scotty Mac later. But I want to set up WrestleMania 6 to say a note came in from the aforementioned Cam Gordon.
Another one.
Stu, I believe, was ringside at WrestleMania 6, Hogan versus Warrior at Skydome.
It's true.
Wow, ringside.
Yeah, it's
was here.
If you think of if you want to get to the psychology of most people who are our age or in our demographic, Mike, we had the wrestling bug at that point. But if you want to know how I became infected for life, how I didn't grow out of it the way that you did and most mature people did. If you want to know why it stuck with me until my current age, and even, now I'm even working on a wrestling program for a living. Yeah. If you want to find out why, look at WrestleMania 6. You had Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior. Rest in peace to both of them now. Yeah. And both of them not great track records as real people.
As human beings, to be discussed.
Yes. But Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior, the biggest match, 1990. I had front row tickets for that event.
How did you score front row tickets? Oh,
got,
sluggers.
The old man, Jack, got we had 4 tickets in the front row.
Wow.
We're on the videotapes. We're in the magazines. You can just see us, we're right there. Wow. I was leaning on the guardrail watching the match. I couldn't believe it. And that's why. That moment is why I never left me. Because if you sit front row for Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior, you're a wrestling fan for the rest of your life. It's just the way it is, right? That's like if you went to go see fucking Belinda Carlisle in the front row. I mean, I don't know. That's a terrible. I don't know why I pulled that one out, but it's like if the most popular thing in pop culture is happening and you have that type of experience as a kid,
you go to see Ozfest in your front row. You're an Ozzy Osbourne fan for life.
Especially if you're a kid. And I'm a kid at this point. I'm 12 years old, 11 years old, whatever I was.
Well, it depends on which source we look at.
It could have been 15. You never know. But my point is that that does not leave you forever. That stays with you.
I see
magic, that excitement.
I see that. So that's at the Skydome.
That's at the Skydome. Another Toronto thing. Now, things get complicated for Hulk after that. So basically...
Oh, but because I do need to burn through... things will get complicated, and we'll talk about how Hulk Hogan, the human being, was not this hero we were sort of led to follow in the 80s.
Well, the first chapter sort of unfolds after this WrestleMania sort of stuff.
Okay, because I just want to then quickly just tell you one of my favorite things was watching Hulk Hogan wrestle. And the guy would be beating him. Whoever he's playing would start to beat him. And then there was this thing, and I only recently learned it had a term.
Hulking up.
Hulking up.
Yeah.
And every time Hogan would be hit, it was like I could see electricity go through his body, and he would get stronger. And I can't tell you how exciting this was for young Mike to watch, and knowing that every time he was going to be hit, he wasn't going to be weakened. He wasn't going to be hurt. He was going to have this electricity go through him. He was going to get stronger. So this is just a brief clip of a match that kind of describes him hulking up.
Is almost motionless. 2. No! And the Warrior can't believe it. Oh, look at this now.
It's very visual.
The Warrior's never seen nothing like this. And now that adrenaline is flowing heavy through the body of the Hulkster.
Yeah, hulking up, brother.
He's hulking up.
And he is ignoring those big right hands by the Warrior.
This is awesome.
I got goosebumps.
And the finger pointing right in the kisser.
Right in the kisser.
Hulkster with a roundhouse and another. And the Warrior's backing up.
So this is just an example of this hulking up that I just love.
His act. He had an act. His match was like... Now, listen, people say that Hulk Hogan can't wrestle.
He only had that leg drop.
Well, the purists say that he can't work. I'll tell you what. Part of wrestling is selling. That's what they call it. That's when I'm fighting you, Mike, and I'm giving you my offense, and you are really selling that I'm hurting you, and the fans are going to get behind you because they see that you're fighting from underneath, right?
Right.
That's the psychology of wrestling. Hulk Hogan was probably the best, if you think about it, because the guy was 6'7". Most of the guys he fought were shorter and smaller than him, but he sold so well that you believed that these guys had a chance to beat him. Right. Now, I was a fucked up kind of kid because I used to watch it and I was rooting to see Hulk Hogan lose.
I was rooting for Paul Orndorff at Hulkamania.
I wanted to see Hulk lose. Okay, like I didn't, until I got older, I wanted Darth Vader to beat Luke Skywalker.
Right.
I wanted Cobra Commander to beat the Joes. I was rooting always for the bad guys.
Did you root for Apollo Creed?
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was rooting for Clubber Lang Clubber Lang.
Clubber Lang.
I think I called Hulk Hogan maybe Clubber Lang earlier, but it's Thunder Lips.
You called him Thunder Lips.
Okay, good.
Mr. T was Clubber.
So I would, when Hulk would Hulk up, I would be pissed because, it wasn't until later on that I appreciated what I was seeing.
Right.
But, Hulk's ability to sort of captivate the crowd and make them believe, and for them to even cheer for him to Hulk up, he had to be getting his ass kicked first. So he had to be believable.
Right.
So there's not a better seller than Hulk, if you think about it.
At Hulkamania, we watched that count, and these refs, they're in on it. Okay,
yeah.
That was a 2.5 count or whatever. And I shared this story many times during Pandemic Fridays, but at the exhibition stadium, when you're there and you're not hearing Gorilla Monsoon, like you're here live, it looks like a 3 count. Me and my buddy celebrated.
Oh, yeah. Okay, they thought Orndorff won.
Orndorff beat Hogan.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
Yeah.
And then you're like, what do you mean that was a 2.5 count?
Yeah.
So you're at WrestleMania 6. You're ringside. Hogan, larger than life.
Loses.
He lost to the Ultimate Warrior at Skydome. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's succinctly and properly talk about, there's an expression I always think about. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. Okay. Hulk Hogan, at this point, he's a hero to guys like you and I, like an absolute icon. He's like Michael Jordan out there.
And I used to root against Jordan too, by the way.
Interesting. I rooted for Jordan. But I also, as my sons would tell you, I also root for LeBron James. So that tells you, I know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Hulk. Just to recap a point I was trying to make. If you actually go onto YouTube, I don't know if anyone actually will, but I would if I were you. You should look up Hulk Hogan's matches that he had in Japan. Against, he wrestled in Japan a bunch of times,
right.
And you can see this guy can wrestle.
Oh.
He actually does wrestling moves. He does wrestling holds. He's as good as anybody. In WWF, he didn't have to do that. It's a show, and he's doing the same. He's got to preserve his body because they're doing 350 shows a year. Why does he need to do all of that stuff? So he had his match that he does, and it's kind of smart, and it gave him longevity because he was able to avoid injuries by doing his match, so to speak, which was he gets his ass kicked, he hulks up, he wins.
Right.
And it was a formula that worked.
Crowd goes wild.
And when Andre finally beat him, it was such a shock because he hulked up and it didn't work.
You mean the Ultimate Warrior?
Same, both.
Both.
He lost both of those matches.
Right.
So anyway, I digress.
Okay, so where we're at now is
after WrestleMania 6.
Yeah, because
the steroid starts coming in.
Personally, I think WrestleMania 6 was my swan song.
Yeah, and wrestling takes a big downturn after that.
Okay,
people are kind of ready to move on.
Let's talk about the downturn.
Yes.
So
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a steroid. Steroids become a big thing. Ben Johnson, obviously, steroids are front page news. Hulk Hogan goes on the Arsenio Hall show, and Arsenio asks him if he's ever taken steroids. Hulk claims he's only done it once or twice for injuries.
He's not under oath.
And he's lying. Right. And, a lot of bitter wrestlers, because wrestling is a very cutthroat industry, they all are coming for the same spot. Everybody wants that spot. And superstar Billy Graham is one of those guys that sees Hogan doing his act, So he's very vocal that Hulk is a steroid guy.
Right.
And wrestling goes on trial. That's the first time we sort of see behind the curtain of wrestling.
Yeah, well, we basically learn that, of course, Hulk Hogan had been doing steroids since the 70s.
And by the way, Why does it matter if he was? If wrestling was a show, like he's a private citizen. It's not.
Yeah. This
it's
is not the
against
Olympics.
the law.
I
It's
hear
not
what
the
you're
Olympics.
saying. Right.
But his whole mantra is like, say your prayers, take your vitamins. You know,
I think that's the problem.
Yes.
Is he's telling kids if you have a good attitude, you say your prayers, you eat
Right.
your vitamins.
But if you look at the 80s, how many people were saying say no to drugs that were actually doing drugs? Probably 100%. You know, it's like
Right.
you see all
There's
like
a lot
the
of
PSAs,
hypocrisy in
a
the
lot
80s.
of course. Cocaine was running wild, brother.
right, and that's not good for your heart either.
Definitely not. So Hulk now is in a situation where his relationship with Vince is strained. He's going to testify against Vince McMahon in the steroid trial. Hulk ends up getting on the stand, and he ends up not burying Vince. He ends up changed. You know, he gets on the stand, and he ends up, even though they're have their problems, at the end of the day, when Hulk gets on the stand, he does not incriminate Vince directly.
Yeah, he says, I did steroids on my own.
Yeah.
I wasn't directed or ordered to do so by
He sort of
Vince
lets
McMahon.
Vince off the hook, and Vince ends up not getting indicted. Like he gets
Right.
found not guilty.
Right.
And wrestling is sort of saved, but wrestling's in a real dark period now because there's all these scandals. Hogan leaves. He goes to WCW. His act is stale there. They don't care about Hulkamania. He turns bad. They do the NWO. I'm fast forwarding.
That's right.
NWO is
He
a
becomes
huge,
Hollywood Hulk
Hollywood
Hogan, right?
Hogan. He's a bad guy now. It's the biggest story in wrestling. Wrestling is back again. Vince answers with The Rock and Stone Cold, and wrestling has another peak moment, and Hogan is right there again. Vince ends up buying WCW, and Hulk comes back to WWF, shocking the world. And back again where we are, Toronto, at the Skydome, Hulk Hogan against The Rock, which I'm there again. Not front row this time, but I'm there.
Wow.
And Hulk comes in as the bad guy, and Toronto refuses to treat him like the bad guy. And if you haven't seen that match, it's worth watching, even if you're not a wrestling fan, just to see how, you know, whatever script they had for that match had to change because the crowd shit all over what the story that they wanted to tell
Right.
and dictated where it was going to go. Hulk ends up hulking up even as a bad guy. The crowd goes electric, and all of a sudden Hulkamania is back.
Wow. Wow. And what year are we talking about
That's
here?
in 2001.
Okay.
Hulk ends up, sticking around. You know, Hogan does best. There's a lot of bad things that happen after that. I'll tell you where my path crosses with Hulk.
Yeah.
Me and Jamie Kennedy had a rap album, which has been documented and held up by Mike right now.
Holding it right now. Mark Weisblock gave me this copy.
There you go, which you got for
media,
free.
Yeah, it's got the whole punched
Yeah.
in it. It's called Blowing Up. Jamie Kennedy and
So
Stu Stone.
We were getting booked for shows, and one of the shows that we did was we had a popular song then called Circle Circle Dot Dot. I got my cootie shot.
Right.
And we were getting booked on shows and summer jams and winter jams and Christmas fests or whatever. One of the shows we got booked on was a Christmas fest or whatever the fuck it was called. Pardon my French.
You can swear on this show.
But you can pull it up on YouTube and see. It's remarkable. I take off my shirt and the crowd goes wild. It's so funny. But that was inspired by Hulk. But
Right.
we were, it was us and Brooke Hogan. Hulk's daughter was launching a music career,
Right, I remember this.
which, by the way, would be part of the topic that he's talking about in the hidden camera footage that ends up burying him.
Right.
But Brooke is there, and Hulk is basically a momager at that point, or a dadager. He's like a stage dad. He's wherever Brooke goes, Hulk's there.
Right.
He's helping her sort of get her music career going by feeling like, if he's there, it's going to help her, which is wild because they've been estranged and they have a strained relationship. I think the last time she spoke to her dad was 2023, if I read correctly.
Okay.
So that's kind of sad that it went out like that.
Sure.
But anyway, that day we were positioned there was a room where before the show, the people who bought tickets could go around and get autographs from all the people who were on the bill. So it was like, there was other bands on the bill, but our station was right next to Brooke Hogan's. So I spent the entire day sitting next to Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
And, I was wearing an Iron Sheik Nikolai Volkov t-shirt, not even knowing Hulk was going to be there.
Right.
So I'm with Hulk the whole day. And first off, it was remarkable how much beer this guy drank. I think he drank a case of beer like in an hour.
Was it Great Lakes beer?
It should have been.
You'd be alive today if it was.
The beer can looked like a cherry blossom
Right.
in his hand, in his giant hand. It was like the guy was so big and so tall and crushed beers.
Right.
Crushed beers. I'm talking about an abnormal amount of like crushing of beers.
Wow.
It was wild, brother.
That is remarkable.
So we were with Hulk that day, and we got to spend time with Hulk, and it was like a fucking, it was like, pinch me.
Right.
I got to shoot the shit with Hulk.
It's like, for you, it's like hanging out with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah, and it really was like that. And I've had the luck or the blessing to be able to meet and be most of my heroes. And
You introduced me to Samoa Joe.
there you go, Joe's the man. We are, I've had an opportunity to really things that interest me. I've had an opportunity to have really VIP type of experiences for some reason, and this was one of the greatest ones. Was hanging with Hulk that day, but obviously, things go sideways for Hulk.
Well, I feel like we need to be fair to the story, which is that he didn't know he was being recorded, but I guess there was a recording.
Well, things went before that.
Before
even.
that. Okay, tell me. Because I don't know when Bubba the Love Sponge's wife.
Okay, so
died.
if you think about it, and just from my own experience, because Jamie Kennedy and I have my own experience doing a reality show. Okay, I did a reality show. I was on a show with a guy who I hung out with every day for years. We were together, and at some point, we didn't like each other anymore. Because we spent so much time together, and there's the ups and the downs and the trials and the tribulations of sharing a career,
Sure.
and splitting up money and going on shows and arguments and whatever the case may be. When our reality show ended, Jamie and I, we didn't talk for years until we got eventually back together. Now we're friends forever, but we had a dark period. And that's not just limited to us. And we didn't even have the kind of success that others had. But you look at Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson had a show.
Right.
They ended up parting. You look at the Hogans. They had a show. Hogan Knows Best. It was a successful show on VH1. And it tore the family apart. If you really think about it, after that show went off the air, that's when things start getting really bad for the whole family. His son gets in this terrible car wreck. Killing his friend or something, just awful stuff. His Hogan,
he went to prison, right?
Yeah, I don't know if he did.
Because I did read one of his racist comments that Hulk Hogan made was a recorded call with his son who was in prison.
Okay, so he's definitely got arrested then. And then Hulk's he gets divorced from his wife. And his wife was cheating on him. Who even knows?
But what happens first? Because one of the more infamous stories is that Hulk Hogan was sleeping with his buddy.
Okay, that's later on. So
because I thought his wife divorced him after that.
No.
Okay.
Before that, she was messing around with some other guy that looked like Hulk, like some younger guy. But listen, we might be getting our facts backwards here. It's all relevant. It's all irrelevant. The point is, it was a shit show for the family after that. Mm-hmm. And, listen, Hulk had a lot of enemies in wrestling also. People who feel like they were shortchanged by him or he was
didn't he break up unions? Like, didn't he?
He was looking out for Hulk. That's what they say.
So there were the wrestlers were trying to form a union, and he went
Jesse
behind
Ventura
their back.
was.
Okay.
And Hulk went and snitched.
But he's sort of even just being a union buster at that time it speaks to his character.
Well, it speaks to he would lose his money if there was a pay scale. Then Hulk couldn't get paid 1,000 million times more than everybody. And at that point, maybe he was right that he should have been getting more than everybody.
It speaks to his character.
Of course,
right? Yeah.
Of course. I'm not defending that.
That's not a cool move.
Definitely not. And Jesse Ventura and him had a strained relationship as a result. And anyway, if you were friends with Hulk, your life was good. Where he went, you went. He had a crew of guys that where Hulk went, all those guys got jobs too. Brutus Beefcake, the Nasty Boys. There's a couple guys.
Jimmy Hart.
So the people who are in Hulk's inner circle, they love Hulk. The people who were not in Hulk's inner circle, not so much. But anyway, Hulk is friends with Bubba the Love Sponge, a shock jock sort of radio host, if you don't know who that is, from Florida. A Kirkland kind of Howard Stern kind of thing.
Right.
And Hulk's going on his show.
Like an Opie and Anthony kind of vibe.
And Hulk is buddies with Bubba. And I guess Bubba is allowing Hulk to sleep with his wife.
Oh, so he's okay with it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if he was.
So the deal that's made there is that if she's allowed to sleep with other guys, but they have to film it.
Okay.
So because he's
All right.
got
Consenting
some sort
adults. I got it.
some sort of a
But
fetish.
did Hulk Hogan know he was being recorded when he had sex with Heather?
Now I don't know. I never asked Hulk that.
Okay,
question.
because apparently
Maybe-
Hogan claims he did not consent to the recording.
It didn't seem like this was camera footage that you would. That's like you're aware that the camera's there. It looked more like it was like a surveillance sort of camera that was set up.
Now here's where Gawker, remember Gawker,
Yes.
Gawker.com, the
Someone
website.
leaked the tape.
Yeah, they actually put a portion of the sex tape online.
Yes, and then Hogan sued and won $1 billion, and Gawker.
And Gawker
Ended.
went
Yes.
belly up. But also at this time, the National Enquirer revealed basically that there was audio of Hulk Hogan referring to black people by the N-word.
Terrible.
And he said, like, I mean, even out of, you know, you could say, oh, he was rapping a song that had the N-word in it.
No,
No,
that's not what happened.
This was just blatantly gross racism.
Yeah, this is one of those things that, like, you know, you get your guard is. Now again, listen, the stuff that he said is appalling. So this is not. We're not
Like
saying,
really bad stuff. Like
Yeah.
my daughter doesn't bring home an N-word. Because
Well,
I guess she was dating
Yeah,
a black man.
the whole context from what I remember was that Hulk Hogan was paying a producer to do Brooke Hogan's album $1 million, and then it was discovered that Brooke was actually sleeping with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Hulk was upset that not only was his daughter sleeping with this guy, but he was paying this guy $1 million, and his daughter was sleeping with him. So
And he was a black man.
and he was, and so Hulk was not using. You know, he was not holding back on how he felt about it, and he was using words that he probably was comfortable using by the sounds of it. You know, Tampa, Florida, that's where he, you know, I don't know. He's a product of his environment.
Well, he was racist.
Sounds like it. And
Right.
yes, the answer is yes, he was. In that instance, it's proven. So in this private moment that he thinks he's having with Bubba's wife, cameras are rolling and audio is rolling, and he's basically caught using the N-word over and over again. And he's canceled.
Right. He's fired from the WWE, as it is known at that time.
Yes. And so that's the end of Hulk. And we're never going to hear from Hulk again. But wait, we will. Because America loves a comeback. especially from
Remarkable.
especially from racism. And Hulk sort of comes back and does not quite an apology tour, because it's not, he doesn't really apologize or own up to his mistakes. He more is upset that he was, you know, he's more mad that he was caught, you know, and then he got that lawsuit, and he sort of felt vindicated by that. And it was sort of like he could sort of sweep that language that he used under the, you know, and it's interesting because Hulk Hogan, you go back to the rise of Hulk Hogan, and it's Hogan and Mr. T. So it's like, how could he be racist? You know, he was buddies with Mr. T. How could he be racist? He was hanging with the Junkyard Dog. Like, that's when you're a wrestling fan trying to justify this, right?
Right.
But clearly, the human being and the character are two different people.
Well, I mean, the union busting, looking out for himself, the racism, and then there's another chapter we'll get to in a moment here, speaks to, like, he's not a guy I want to go have a Great Lakes beer with.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's not the guy we were sold in the 80s. We were sold, and this is similar to Trump, who we're going to talk about in a moment, but, like, he's a showman who presents this false persona.
And that's showbiz.
And we ate it up because we were young and naive.
I've heard people make comparisons like Johnny Carson and other people that had like these public personas, and behind the scenes they were not what you think they were. You know, I don't have indications from that Hulk Hogan was like a nightmare to deal with. But, you know, listen, he was definitely said a lot of racist things, and it's hard to forgive your hero for that, right? And America loves a comeback, like I said. He ends up coming back to WWE, and he gets, you know, it's a long enough time had passed that people forget or forgive or don't care anymore, and he's getting sort of cheered again. But not completely. It's never really the same again. You know, there's a segment of the audience that will not forgive him, and there's a segment of the locker room, not just black, that will not forgive him for this. And still to this day, you hear current sort of wrestlers from the last 10, 15 years that just do not like Hulk Hogan because of that. And that's totally fair. He felt, you know, there's specifically black wrestlers that like felt like he did not apologize and he should not even be around them. And they're right. You know, he did not handle that right. And it's like similar to Trump and Ric Flair and others that get caught in the crossfire of scandals. Instead of owning up to it and apologizing, they sort of put the blame elsewhere and try to like deflect instead of owning it. You know, there was a famous episode of Dark Side of the Ring with the plane ride from hell where Ric Flair was accused of doing things on a drunken plane that ended up not being great for him. He could have just come out and said, hey, this was 20 years ago. We were wasted drunk. I'm embarrassed of that behavior. That's not who I am. I'm ashamed of my... Like, he could have done that and owned it, and instead he didn't. And Hulk could have done the same thing. He could have owned it and been like, you know what? This is terrible. I'm so ashamed of myself or whatever. That just never happened. So there's been this sort of the last chapter of Hulk Hogan's life, the last 10 years is filled with unresolved beef. It's a lack of better words, with his family, with his friends. You know, Brutus Beefcake and him hadn't spoken in a long time. With the wrestling world, so to speak. Then he shows up at the Republican convention, which, you know, he probably thought he was doing a good thing for his buddy Donald, but, you know, half the country hates that guy. So it's like you're really putting yourself in a polarizing sort of, you're putting yourself under the microscope by doing that. And, that was one of the final sort of career decisions he made. And then he comes out in January this year, the Netflix premiere of WWE Monday Night Raw on Netflix. They bring out Hulk. The show is in Los Angeles, which is not a red state. Oh, you're playing that?
This is January 6th, right?
Yeah. Listen.
Holy hell! Holy hell! Brother! The hits just keep on coming with Jimmy Hart!
As you can hear, it's like mixed reaction here.
Hey, Pat.
This is January 2025.
Yes,
Hogan,
this year.
we would not be here tonight.
That's
Amen
true.
to that.
Rick Derringer is still alive at this time. Just listening for the boos.
Now that's right there. That tells you everything you need to know. Hulk's coming out as a good guy to do his victory lap, and the crowd is shitting all over him in Los Angeles. And this is sadly his final appearance, I believe, in front of a wrestling crowd.
Now, so he heavily endorses Donald Trump, of course, when he was running in 2024. He spoke at the 2024 Trump rally at Madison Square Garden. Okay, so this is the final appearance, WWE appearance,
and he's booed, which is kind of like
Hulk Hogan,
it's poetic.
And that's it. And then
within 6 months, he's dead.
Over the years.
Wow. Okay. So I find it a fascinating.
I mean, we really did like a
complicated
Cliff's Notes version of his story, but I feel like we accurately covered it. The man has to be credited for putting wrestling on the map and being the biggest star there was. But, he's like everybody else. He's flawed and deeply flawed compared to others. And, when you're put up on a pedestal as a hero and you take on that role, you really, everything's on the table. Do you know what I mean by that? When you become that famous, you can't afford to fuck up. And Hogan fucked up. And people did not forgive him for that. And I'm not just talking about in his personal life. I'm talking about the public persona of Hulk Hogan. He just got booed by wrestling fans in his last appearance. And that tells you everything you need to know about the complicated sort of a relationship that people have with this guy. I'm still sad. I'm sad that he's gone. I'm sad that his legacy was torn, and I'm disappointed by another one of my heroes growing up. And it's sad that our generation has all of these heroes that turned out to be fucking scumbags. Not that I'm calling people a scumbag specifically, but
No, but many are. I mean, you're talking about Bill Cosby,
Yeah, you
for
can
example.
you can paint a brush.
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, those are two great examples.
R. Kelly.
Sure. Well, he may have been more of
he's
your
later.
hero than mine, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like
P. Diddy.
the people that were up on a pedestal for us. They weren't as good as we thought they were, and human beings just aren't as good as that we think they are. You know, I'm sure everybody listening here has regrettable things that they have said, done, been a part of, but we're not in the spotlight like Hulk or one of these other folks.
Okay, but Stu, yes, I agree with you 100%. Very
and
wise
I'm
words.
not
but
definitely just. I'm in no way endorsing or justifying what he did or what he said. I think it's disgusting, appalling. Should not be. You know, if he's going to be forgiven, it's got to be by everybody or nothing. It's like an all or nothing sort of situation, and he was not forgiven.
it's one thing to make a mistake and then learn from it and then work on yourself to improve as a human being and a member of this society. But by all accounts, this was not a nice dude, a bad dude who didn't seem to ever own it and make amends and never. And the final chapter of Hulk Hogan is him endorsing Donald Trump for president of the United States of America. Like, it just seems a heel turn in real life, but it seems like he was a heel the whole time.
He could have been. Now, I honestly don't believe that he thought that was a heel move endorsing Trump, because that's obviously politically what he believed was the right thing to do. So, you know, that's just a choice.
Remarkable.
That's just a choice that was not a good marketing choice for him. You know, Michael Jordan always said, you know, both sides buy running shoes. That's why he doesn't endorse a side. You know, Hulk Hogan wasn't selling shoes anymore, I guess. But, you know, it's sad. It's truly sad.
Well, once you're outed as a racist,
Yeah.
you belong to the Republican Party.
Yeah, it's interesting because you think of that generation, the boomer generation, especially in the South, in the States, people who grew up in, you know, Georgia, Florida, you know, and around the South in the 50s and 60s. It's a racist America that these guys grew up in. And Trump is that age, and they're all like that. It's the good news is, sadly, and good news is that generation is dying out. Like the
I know people can change, right? Like you could be raised by racist parents,
Sure.
and then you can,
But
you
then
mentioned a couple
people-
things, product of your environment,
Yes.
and I've heard this excuse. But as an adult, the onus is on you to be better.
I agree.
It's like, oh, my dad beat me, so I beat my
Right, and
kid.
so those people that are missing, you know, you can't look at them professional wrestlers for moral compass,
Right.
To make the right.
Oh, like
decision.
Charles Barkley.
Yeah,
I'm not
you-
a role model.
Like you can't, you know, but we did, because that's what was pushed on us by you know, big media pushed these guys on us.
Right.
You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was doing steroids.
Right.
Sylvester Stallone, come on, like they all were. Our baseball player heroes of that era were all doing steroids, and they were all probably saying racist shit and sexist shit and committing all sorts of things that like would be regrettable. And thank God that for them there was no social media, but I would kind of wish there was, because then we'd know a lot more about who we were propping up as a hero. I'm not here to tear down a man that just died yesterday. Okay, I'm here to.
Well,
I'm here by
We're talking about
I'm here by coincidence because
Right.
I was booked to be here today, and Hulk Hogan happened
Well, it's
to
not about
die
tearing
yesterday.
down a guy who died yesterday, but it would be irresponsible to celebrate him as this popular, beloved wrestler, and gloss over the
sure.
fact that he was a racist,
100%.
union-busting Trumper.
100%.
Those are indisputable three facts.
I agree with you.
Union-busting, racist Trumper.
Completely agree with you. You know,
And I'm not glad he's dead, but at the same time, I can't just live in this 1985.
No, of course not.
where,
Of course
I would
not.
get excited when he would play that role of
and
hulking up.
the Hulk Hogan apologists would point to all the good that he did. You know, all of the Make-A-Wish and all the charities and all the stuff that he did. That's what they would say, and he should get credit for that type of stuff. But that doesn't erase, like I said, if he's not, if it's an all or nothing kind of thing. Forgiveness, you know, you have to be forgiven by everybody for it to count. And he didn't redeem him. There was no redemption.
No redemption.
You know,
then they
and
heard
that's the
booze.
sad part. You know, you can fuck up in life. You can make mistakes. People love a good comeback story. Look at what's his name? Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
This guy was on drugs, like breaking into someone's house, and they found him sleeping in a closet. And now look at him. You know, it's like people loved redemption. And Hulk, that's the part that he was missing. He didn't have that redemption arc to his story where people were like, oh, yeah, we do like him and we do forgive him. That never happened. And that's sad. And it's sad with how many strained relationships he had that just will never be repaired. He's gone now. I'm sad that Hulk Hogan's gone. I'm not, and that's because of me, not because of him. I'm sad because it just makes me feel...
You had good memories.
Yeah, it makes me feel...
Ringside, WrestleMania 6. These are memories that you could never forget.
It makes me feel mortal. You know what I mean? It makes me feel like I'm getting, and a landslide comes back down,
And I'm looking at you. You're definitely on steroids.
Yeah. I'm getting older. Children get older. I'm getting older too. Whatever those lyrics are. I'm saying that, like, when these things happen, then we sort of reflect back on our own childhood and our own past. And these were beloved guys. These were posters that were on our wall. And when we were kids, we didn't know that he was saying these things and doing these things.
It's like Roberto Alomar, right?
Sure.
Roberto Alomar was a hero of mine, greatest position player in Blue Jays history. I thought, 5-tool superstar, Hall of Famer. Roberto Alomar, 2 World Series championships. What a hero. I was so excited to meet Roberto Alomar.
Yeah.
But there's an example where sometimes... you don't want to meet your heroes.
You just got to be Yeah, they say don't meet your
Although
heroes.
He's very nice to me.
For that reason, probably.
Right.
It's sad that Hulk Hogan is gone. And for me personally, I have another little anecdote to drop.
Yeah.
One of the more famous sort of credits in my repertoire.
Oh! I have a note here.
Okay.
And I was sharing I know you're not on Blue Sky, but I shared a screen cap from this movie. Stu, I'll set it up by saying this. What is the most well-known movie you've ever been in?
Donnie Darko.
Donnie Darko. You're in Donnie Darko.
Correct.
And there's this great scene on Halloween, right?
There's a great scene on Halloween, and the movie takes place in 1988, and I'm playing, Donnie's best friend, Ron Fisher.
Right.
And in the script, we're supposed to be going to a Halloween party, and we are... in the script, it's like, and Ronald is dressed like a clown, and Steve is dressed like a Viking, and this one is dressed like, it's just like Halloween costumes. And when I got to set that day, and I saw the costume that they were giving me, I was like, you know what? If this was 1988, I wouldn't have dressed up like this. And they're like, well, what would you have been? And I was trying to think, like, I would probably, in 88... I probably would have been like either maybe like Walter Payton or Hulk Hogan. I would probably have a headband that said Sweetness in like a Chicago Bears,
right.
Or I would be Hulk Hogan. And they were like, well, which one would you do? And I'm like, Hulk Hogan. No doubt about it. Like in 88, that would be my costume. And they were like, well, if you can throw, we're shooting in like half an hour. If you can throw this together, like go for it. So I run around like a madman. I go to the wardrobe department. I find they have a yellow undershirt, and I get them to write Ronald Mania on the shirt in red instead of Hulkamania. And they find the whole outfit. Then I go to the makeup trailer, and they have like wig, and I find a mustache, and I get them to make me the thing. And for the rest of the movie, I am Hulk Hogan. And I'm riding bikes, and I'm smoking cigs or whatever the hell the character's doing, and I'm dressed as Hulk Hogan, and it's so amazing. And in WWE Magazine, years later, they published a list of like the top pop culture references with wrestling, and there was a picture of me with the Hulk Hogan outfit on this list.
You did that.
Which blew my mind.
Wow.
So, that's my connection to Hulk as far as, cinema goes, where it's like, in Donnie Darko, I dressed up as Hulk Hogan, and I insisted on it. So there you go. But, listen, it's over. The story of Hulk Hogan is over. Hulkamania will live forever for those who were fans of Hulkamania. It's a tragic tale, a cautionary tale to do better, to be better. If you're going to represent yourself as, a hero, you got to act like one. It can't just be a gimmick. Being a hero is not a gimmick, and you can't take that lightly. If you're going to sign up for the role of being a hero for kids, that comes with a lot of responsibility. You didn't see Fred Rogers doing cocaine and steroids behind the scenes and using the N-word. Maybe, but not that we know.
Remember that great scene when he shared the little swimming pool?
Of course, I love that.
In there with,
amazing.
With the post officer.
Amazing. My point is, though, if you're going to take on that role, it comes with responsibilities that are above and beyond. And obviously, most people can't live up to it in the end. And Hulk is certainly one of those folks. So he's gone. He won't be forgotten. He'll be remembered fondly by some, unfondly by many more. For me personally, I'll remember the good years that we had with Hulk, and I'll be disappointed in how it ended, and I'll be angry and upset with things that he did and said. And it's complex. It's no different than my father or anybody else that you lose.
Right.
It's complex, and Hulk is a complex guy. And thank you for the wrestling memories portion of it. And it's just sad that, all these guys are gone. And even Hulk, only 71 years old. That's not old.
Now, Stu, I really, really appreciated the fact you gave me almost 90 minutes on Hulk Hogan. And I have more. I'm hoping you'll stick around. Would you do another 30 minutes with me of like rapid fire, some other cleanup stuff? So I'm going to quickly check out the live stream. We've been live at live.torontomike.com. And I want to recognize some FOTMs who are there for the return of FOTM Hall of Famer Stu Stone. And then I want to thank some partners of the program that help fuel this real talk. And then I'm going to do rapid fire quick hits with you, if you don't mind. I pulled a clip I mentioned of Scotty Mack, and I want to get that story too. So I want to say hello to Mike, who just went woo with an exclamation mark. Okay. Canada Kev says, welcome back, Stu. Andy says, hi, everyone. Always love a Stu episode, even if it's about wrestling. Okay. Ty Guy says, what is Stu's job description for Dark Side of the Ring? Producer, grip, best boy? What is your job title over there?
Some seasons I was given a producer credit. Most recently, they're calling me the documentary director. So producer director.
Okay. Mike says, I saw Mr. T at Honest Ed's in 1984.
That's funny. That's probably the same time that he probably went to Toys R Us, then drove downtown to Honest Ed's.
Wasn't he filming TNT here?
He was.
So he probably spent a lot of time here. Carlos Delgado was on the live stream. Says,
really?
Stu seems like a Barkley guy.
That's funny.
Because I guess that's when you said you rooted against Michael Jordan.
My favorite player back then was Kevin Johnson, who's also flawed as a human being in real life, if you look him up. But, Phoenix Suns, when Barkley and Kevin Johnson, and they went to the finals against Jordan, boy, that was my chance to see Michael lose. And he did not happen.
No, 6 for 6. Hey Ref says, welcome back, Toronto Mike. Did you know this is my first recording in a week?
You just went,
which is the longest period of time you'll find in the calendar where there's no Toronto Mike episodes. I did a Mike-umentary. I dropped it like Sunday night, but I haven't recorded since last Friday, so it was good to do this with you, Stu, and we're not done yet. Cambrio is here. He's like the original Foss as far as I'm concerned.
Love Cambrio.
Yeah. He says, hello, Stu.
What's up, buddy?
And he says, boys with... there's a lot of Cambrio here, but I'm going to just say, Andy says, Stu is so great at this because he actually made me feel a bit of sympathy for this terrible person.
It's, and you're allowed to feel sympathy for terrible people. It's like, that doesn't make you a bad person. It's like, words are very bad, that Hulk said.
Well, they were blatantly racist.
100%. And so you should not forgive him for that.
Imagine judging someone because of the color of their skin.
It's awful. I don't, it's fucking awful. But he's a flawed guy. It's like I'm saying. Right. It's like...
Well, Cambrio says, because I think we talked about Hogan and Mr. T maybe, but he said Hogan just needed tea as an endorsement for his crappy beer brand. It was a business transaction.
Could have been.
And then Canada Kev says, forgive is okay, but never forget.
I agree. And
Ty Guy says, God, I love Stu Stone.
I love Ty Guy. Thank you for the love.
Okay. Canada Kev says, blink twice if there is a next season of Dark Side of the Ring. I didn't even see it. I'll have to check the tape later. And Moose Grumpy says, I made it all the way through the wrestling talk, and now she's ready for the rapid fire. So for many
Moose
listeners,
Hello,
but they love you so much, they'll even listen to wrestling talk.
Thank you.
The real show starts now.
That wasn't our intention. I was booked to be here. It just was in the calendar for a month. So Hogan died yesterday. That changed the course of what we were
Do
going to
you
talk about.
remember it was originally going to be yesterday? Like we might have been recording while Hulk died.
Imagine that.
So I was offline completely. So there were major celebrity deaths. We'll touch on a couple of them in a minute that happened when I was offline. And I never, all year round, I'm never offline except for the camping trip I do every summer. So I'm offline, but yesterday I was returning the car I borrowed. I borrowed this Ford Explorer because I needed room. I got, 4 of us and a bunch of camping gear that went to the Pinery. It was amazing, by the way. Everything was perfect. And I'm returning the car and I'm listening to Indy 88 because my buddy, Toast co-host, Bob Willett is on Indy 88, but it's actually Adam, who's an FOTM, who's on Indy 88. And he says, breaking news, he said, Hulk Hogan just died. And I'm driving this car. It's just Mississauga to return it. And then I'm going to bike home because the bike's in the back. And I'm like, oh my God, like Hulk Hogan is dead. And then I realized our episode would be very, very different. So I'm going to thank some partners, Stu. And we're going to get to this rapid fire to save the show for the Andys and the Moose Grumpies and everybody. I got to get you, Stu Stone, to Christy Pitts to take in some Toronto Maple Leafs baseball.
Hell yeah.
I've got the history of Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. It's a book for you, Stu Stone. You'd love it, man. High caliber baseball, no ticket required. You grab yourself a hot dog, get a Leafs lager, just soak it in the city. What value? Christy Pitts, Toronto Maple Leafs baseball.
Are you there every game?
Not every game.
You and the Snowman?
But I do have a Snowman's right now in Malmo, Sweden. He's at a festival there tomorrow night.
I love that you're like best friends with Snow now.
I chatted with his manager, lawyer, Paul Farberman this morning.
Okay.
Paul Farberman was a guest on Nick Ianni's show. Nick Ianni's has a show called Building Success. And we had Paul Farberman on. But Paul was actually in Copenhagen because I guess I've been to Copenhagen. This is true. Malmo, Sweden, and Copenhagen are very, very close. So they're hanging out in Copenhagen for this concert at Malmo. I want to talk to you about snow in a minute, so I'm going to just thank a couple more sponsors here, and then we're going to cook with gas. You know we drink Great Lakes beer on this program. Stu, that's our beer of choice, Great Lakes beer. You know that, right?
God bless him.
And we only eat Palma pasta. That's
Sure.
Our diet is basically Great Lakes and Palma pasta, delicious Italian food. Thank you to Palma pasta. Thank you to Great Lakes beer. We talked about Hulk Hogan, who died yesterday. Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. Ridley Funeral Home only sells Canadian caskets. They're proud to. Yeah, it's from a Northern Casket. That's what they offered to their families. They are proudly Canadian and they support Canadian companies.
That's great.
So if you're talking to funeral homes,
and you need a Canadian casket.
Well, ask, are they only?
It's
are
like
they
Canadian.
owned?
Imagine like Canadian Tire, and then you have like a store Canadian casket.
You got it, buddy. You got it. You know how this works. RecycleMyElectronics.ca, another great Canadian company. Go there, put in your postal code, and find out where to drop off your old devices, your old cables, all your old laptops and phones. You drop it off there. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. I would like to tell you about an event happening on the waterfront. This is happening soon. It's called the Habari Africa Festival. You celebrate African culture in Toronto. It's an incredible cultural experience. Habari Africa is a vibrant, multidisciplinary African arts festival.
Wow.
It's returning to Toronto. It's free. All ages are welcome. It's a fantastic weekend of rich art, tastes, and the sounds from the African continent.
Sounds great.
So don't miss this unique festival happening on the waterfront, coming up soon. I should have brought the date down here, except I know it's happening in like early August, and celebrate African culture in Toronto. Let me play this for you. It's Scotty Mack on this program very recently. Now, this is the same league that Stu Stone is. That's
Correct.
the fourth mention. I'm going to document this when
Stu and his co-general manager Ryan Pasternak and I just made a trade a few nights ago.
So to be competitive in this, and are you allowed to speak to the controversy or no? Like we'd had a chat before I pressed record.
Well, I'll speak to the controversy, but I won't name names.
You don't have to name names.
I'll name names.
So tell us,
Why
can't we name
okay,
names?
so
And then I'll come back to my
so
point here.
it's just a really difficult thing for a listener who's like, what the hell are these two idiots talking about? But the best,
I've never worried about that in the past.
the
I'm like,
best
that's fair enough.
team, the best team in the league by record right now. We're at the trade deadline, so we play 78 games. The trade deadline is after your 51st game, so you play 26 3-game series.
Yeah.
Through the year,
This is
one
so
series
funny.
per week. You have 13 opponents in a 14-team league, so you play one series at home and one series on the road against each team in the league. 26 times 3, 78 games. So we're all approaching or at the end of our 51st
Such
game, so
detail.
17 weeks into the season. So we're at the trade deadline. And the team currently with the best record in the league just traded the league's best player,
True.
Aaron Judge,
Yes.
to the team that has clearly had the most success
The Hulk
through
Hogan of
our
the league.
4+ year history.
Yeah.
And to the owner of said team,
Yeah.
who is easily the most adept at this game because
Happy
he
to name
has the
names.
most experience with
Happy
this
to
game.
name
I can't wait to
So
get the names.
it caused some rankled feelings and certainly made my final day's drive of the 3-day drive from Halifax to Toronto interesting as the league was all worked up.
Name names, Stu. What are we talking about here?
Okay, so I'm a part of this league it's called the ISO League, and it was started by Mike Wilner.
FOTM Mike Wilner.
And Mike, it's based on this board game, like Dungeons and Dragons, but for baseball, I'll call it. And in the 80s, it was called Pursue the Pennant. It was a board game, a dice game that was like Dungeons and Dragons, but for baseball. Not much unlike the same as like a Pokemon game or Magic the Gathering, like where you have cards that have different values. You know, it's a game, right? You with me?
I'm with you.
My father used to sell this game at his store,
Wow.
Sluggers, Pursue the Pennant, and across the street from Sluggers was a restaurant, Lime Ricky's, where Mike Wilner worked.
Wow.
And so Mike may have even gotten the board game from the store. So
Probably.
So when Mike and I are just having a casual conversation, he brings up Pursue the Pennant, and all of a sudden it strikes a chord. I was like, I haven't heard that in
And
forever.
Mike Wilner's in Jack of all trades.
He is. So when me and Mike, when he brings up Pursue the Pennant, and I'm like, oh my God, me and my friend Ryan used to play that game, and we used to have the game, and I've never heard anybody else say that. He's like, well, there's an online version of it, and we have a league, and you should join it. And I did. I feel like Cam Gordon should have joined it too, because he's like a baseball.
Surprised he didn't.
Yeah, that was a bad decision on his part. So it is sort of like Wilner's League is sort of like it's sort of a celebrity league.
Well, can you name drop? We know Stu Stone's
It's
in it, and Scotty Mack is in it, and we know Mike Wilner's in it.
It's
That's three.
a lot of sports personalities, a lot of big sports writers, some other people from the entertainment world. I'm not going to out everybody, but I will speak about this specific trade.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers does play a dice game, and it was in on his Netflix thing.
Aaron Judge
Yeah.
was traded to somebody who keeps winning. Can I make it? We can all read between the lines
Yes.
who that person is.
Who is it?
That's Mike Wilner.
Of course.
So Mike Wilner acquired at the trade deadline Aaron Judge.
Yes, from a guy whose team was in first place, Nick. He plays for the Arkells.
A member of the Arkells.
Yes.
Nick from the Arkells.
Correct.
Traded Aaron Judge to Mike Wilner.
He did, and it sent shockwaves through the league because it was like the rich getting richer. Like, of all the people that could get Aaron Judge, it's got to be Mike Wilner, who always wins and always has the best players.
Is there some accusations or suspicions that there's some kind of
no, there's no collusion.
conspiracy or collusion here?
There's no collusion, but like Mike is a very, very a stringent negotiator. He's relentless. He'll try to sell you a flat tire for your car, and you'll probably end up buying it. Like the guy, if he didn't do baseball and radio and Toronto Star, he could have been a great salesman.
He could sell snow to a snowman.
He could sell snow to Darren O'Brien.
Oh, I'm going to ask you about him in a minute.
But Wilner is just very relentless. So I have no doubt that like Wilner just used his superpowers to like make this trade happen. And it sent shockwaves through the leagues. There's people that were really upset about it. And you know what? Like Mike is a good guy. And he's just trying to play the game, and he happened to be he made a good trade for him, and people were pissed, and there was a lot of tension for a couple days. Like the league was very upset about this trade. Of course, It's all settled down now. This probably will stoke the fire up a bit that I came on here and did this. But
how do you, Stu Stone, feel about this trade?
I was upset about it at first because it was like, fuck, Wilner? Like Wilner just got Aaron Judge, the best card in the game. Like the Charizard.
But what did he have to give up to get Aaron Judge?
He gave up, I think it was...
Is it fair market value?
Maybe.
Does the guy from the Arkells know baseball as well as you guys?
He does.
Okay, so he's not going to be duped?
I don't think he was duped. I just think that Wilner just pulled off a trade and people were pissed.
Are there any other celebrities?
I said to Mike, listen, if the New York Yankees, you're the New York Yankees, Mike.
Yeah.
And if the Yankees land Babe Ruth, people are going to be pissed, even if it was a fair trade.
Right.
Like, you have to accept
they
the
bought him
fact
from the Red Sox.
that you have to accept the fact that that's who you are. You're the Yankees here, and so
Wilner is the Yankees.
You're in a league with a bunch of sports writers. Like, they're going to react to you the
Right.
Yankees getting Aaron Judge.
Okay.
So that's kind of was what I said to him. And I'm sort of known as sort of the class clown in this league, and I'm making mostly, I'm pretty jokey and like to keep things light. And I managed to continue that trend even through all this controversy. we got. Hey, he passed away too. Are we getting into that?
Yeah,
But
you can wind down. No,
I just have to point out one quick thing about Wilner.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wilner was on your show this year.
Yes.
And he talked some shit about me. Okay. He said that I'm like a Ross Atkins apologist, and you were right there fucking agreeing with him, Mike.
But you know what?
Mike, you were agreeing with him, and you were telling me, you guys were out there saying that, like, I don't know what I'm, and I'm just, What place are the Blue Jays in right now?
Irrelevant.
What place are the Blue Jays in today?
But how is
What
that
place?
relevant, Stu Stone?
I just want to know, what place are they in?
I still believe
Please,
you
just tell
cannot
me,
have
Mike,
a rational
Mike,
conversation with Stu Stone about Ross Atkins.
What place are the Jays in right now?
First.
What place are they in the American League East, Mike?
First.
What place are they in the whole American League?
First.
Well, how many games out are they from having the best record in the entire league?
I don't know.
Half a game.
Okay. But it is, what day is it, Stu Stone?
It doesn't matter.
How many playoff games have they won since 2016?
This guy knows what he's doing, Mike.
Oh, God. It's like
this team is magical.
A broken clock
the
being right
Toronto,
twice a day.
You are so wrong. The Blue Jays are an unbelievable team to watch right now. So exciting. And guess what, Mike and Mike Wilner? It's the same fucking team that was out there last year. The same guys that Ross trounced out there last year are literally the best team in baseball. The most exciting to watch, the best approach. There's no superstars here.
May I speak on my own show, Stu Stone?
Every day, 1 through 9, somebody
Stone
new
movement.
contributes.
Can
It
I
is a
speak?
fucking amazing story watching this team, and kudos to Ross Atkins.
If I may.
Fuck the haters.
Do you believe, Stu Stone, you can be critical and fair with regards to moves made by Ross Atkins?
Yes.
Okay, give me Wilner on line 2. That's the biggest lie I've heard.
There was an article that came out in Wilner's very own Toronto Star that broke down trade deadline deals that Ross Atkins has made since he's taken over the helm, and he has won every single trade that he made at the trade deadline.
Okay.
Every single one.
So the facts are
Name
right now
name
on
a
July.
prospect that he traded that turned out to be some kind of big thing.
But I'm asking if you can be fair and can you be fair and critical of Ross Atkins?
I can.
Decisions on for the Toronto Blue Jays.
And I think he's made the right ones.
Or are you such tight friends
No,
with him?
this is friendship
that you
aside.
wear rose-colored glasses
This guy
when
is
you
smarter.
see us.
He's smarter than you. He's smarter than me. He knows what he's doing, or he wouldn't be there. He is a baseball expert. We are baseball fans.
Okay.
The minute you start thinking like a fan,
call me when the playoffs start, because I'm not
I will.
watching
You are
this
a
season.
negative person. Your name is Toronto, Mike. You should be supporting Toronto. You should be supporting, and you should be all in on this Blue Jays team. You should get on the wagon, because you, sir, it's like you're wrong here. You are wrong here. There's something magical happening in the city right now.
Listen to me. Let me speak for a moment. I made a choice for myself that I have no regrets. I can tell you my oldest daughter for my birthday bought me Blue Jays tickets. So soon I will see my first Blue Jays game of the season.
And you will love it.
Yeah, maybe.
And look at the renovations they did down there. The stadium is amazing.
Great job in the renovations. I think I'm morphing, to be quite honest, I am morphing into a high-stakes sports watcher.
That's fair.
Which is to say that I watch the NFL playoffs, but I don't watch the NFL regular season.
Well,
I don't watch a lot of regular season NHL or NBA or MLB.
You're dumb.
Okay, I'm dumb. Okay.
Yeah.
There are people out there who don't follow sports at all.
That's fine, but you are Toronto Mike. Okay,
What's that?
Toronto is in
What
your
does that
fucking
mean?
name.
I'm
This
not an
is part of-
ambassador for
You
all
are.
things Toronto.
You are
Ridiculous.
You are. You're on CNN, Mike. You're an ambassador to this country. Okay, whether you like it or not,
That might
you
be
are
true.
put in this hero. You have this hero role that Hulk Hogan also had, and you are showing your warts and all by not supporting this Toronto Blue Jays team. And let me tell you why you should be. Okay,
But I don't even miss it. Like I actually could watch. I actually don't miss it at all.
You are missing something special. Okay, and let me explain it to you. Let me explain it to you real quick. Okay,
sure.
This is like the Bad News Bears, Mike, or the fucking
owned by Rogers,
Mighty Ducks. I'm talking about a team with there are no superstars on this team right now that are head and shoulders above the rest. You have every single player contributing. You have minor leaguers getting called up contributing. You have names you've never heard of contributing. Every night someone new is a hero. They keep finding ways to win. They keep putting hits together. They have nobody that's in the top 10 in home runs.
I will
they
watch
have nobody
the
in the top 10 in RBIs. None of their pitchers are in the top 10 of anything. This is a team effort like we've never seen. The only comparable I can make is to the San Francisco Giants teams that won World Series in the last decade, where there was no one on the team that hit 20 home runs and they won a couple World Series championships.
Well, let's win a World Series. Let's win what it takes. Let's win a playoff game before we get all excited here.
You are just a negative person. You're a negative person.
Let's not start.
You're a negative person, Mike. You're a negative person.
I played a theme from The Cosby Show.
Yes.
Because Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away while I was camping. While I was swimming in Lake Huron, he was he drowned, an accidental drowning.
Awful.
Terrible. He's only in his 50s, not much older than I was. But I was looking at his IMDb credits because I'll admit, I've only seen him in The Cosby Show. Okay, that's my admission to you.
And just real quick, you know, this kind of fits in with the Hulk stuff that we were talking about. The Cosby Show was as big as it gets.
It was the biggest sitcom in the 80s, I think.
Like, there was not, you know, everybody watched it. Everybody loved.
I did watch a lot of The Cosby Show.
Yeah. Until The Simpsons came along,
yeah.
The Cosby Show was the show.
Right. Did you know Malcolm Jamal Warner, who played Theo Huxtable, he was a voice of the producer character on the Magic School Bus.
Did I know that?
Yeah.
Of course I knew that.
Okay, well, so how can you share a little bit for the unanointed? Yes. Who were you on the Magic School Bus? And isn't that interesting? You were on a show together? Because you were never on an episode of The Cosby Show.
No, I wanted to be.
Only 90210.
Yes, true. I was on the Magic School Bus. I was the character Ralphie, the guy with the red baseball cap and the R on his shirt.
Big character.
Easy to identify. Easily the most handsome character in the class.
Absolutely.
Ralphie, that was me. I did all the episodes of that show, and then even appeared on the reboot as adult characters later on in life. But the original series, Malcolm Jamal Warner was on the show. He was on every episode. At the end of every episode, do you remember like the He-Man shows? At the end, they would be like they would teach you a lesson, or G.I. Joe.
Yes, I do.
Or G.I. Joe would be like, and knowing is half the battle.
100%.
Like they would teach a kid a lesson.
Yeah.
So at the end of every Magic School Bus, they had that sort of interstitial where there was a character who was played by Malcolm Jamal Warner, who was the producer of the show, who would be going over whatever lesson you should have learned. Like, did you happen to catch that lesson? You know, don't talk to strangers or whatever it was. It was more.
That was Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yeah, it was more scholarly than don't talk to strangers, because Magic School Bus was like an educational show.
Sure.
But I got a chance to record with him, and I was so starstruck. You know, like, because for me, even though Lily Tomlin is Miss Frizzle, my age didn't. Malcolm Jamal Warner was the star.
Right.
We wanted to meet Malcolm Jamal Warner. Lily was cool, but like that, our parents liked Lily Tomlin. We wanted to meet Malcolm. So what a cool guy. And so many good memories of him for sure on The Cosby Show.
But that's a show where we watched it in the 80s, much like we were watching Hulk Hogan. But today it's got a whole different vibe to it because of what we learned about the star of that show.
But definitely Theo, when he got his ear pierced.
I watched a lot. Like, I was a big Family Ties guy.
When he bought that shirt, the gold shirt with the pocket,
right.
That was the best one. And now you got Ozzy. What a week, man.
Traveled many miles. I've seen tears and I've seen smiles. Just remember that it's all for you. Don't forget me, as the colors fade.
Ozzy Osbourne, man. What is Stu Stone's personal relationship like with the Ozman?
Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan have similar kind of like trajectories, like almost parallel to each other, like the rise of each of them. Obviously, Black Sabbath is, an anomaly. But if you think about the 80s, when Hulk Hogan was being pushed as this hero to us, on the flip side of that, Ozzy Osbourne was the devil himself.
Prince of Darkness.
He was like the guy as a kid you were terrified. He it bit the head off of a bat or whatever was going around the schoolyard.
Yeah, that was
He was
it.
a terrifying guy that would eat your children, and we were scared of him. He was terrifying.
He seemed dangerous.
He seemed.
I remember thinking he seemed dangerous.
Like he was like Charles Manson if Charles Manson was like a singer.
And he did a song about Charles Manless. You're coming home, there's blood on the walls, and
Yeah.
Charlie and his family.
Yeah.
He did a song on No Rest for the Wicked.
You know,
about
we thought
Manson.
that, and we thought
Mr.
that
Crowley?
Ozzy was the scariest guy on earth, And later on, Ozzy would, just like Hulk, he would get in a reality show, The Osbournes, and that's where sort of America got to see another side of Ozzy that was a lot more lovable and fun, and not like biting off the head off a bat. And people fell in love with Ozzy.
Well, he was just an ordinary man, and that's the name of this song I'm playing.
Yeah.
Ozzy was just an ordinary man playing a character.
Yeah, and it's it's very similar sort of story there, minus the racist stuff. But Ozzy is
which is a significant difference.
Of
I don't
course.
think Ozzy broke up any unions or
no. But Ozzy Osbourne, his popularity, obviously, the Osbournes changed television forever. That's the first sort of reality show that was head and shoulders above the rest. They were the first. That family held off and made MTV pay them like $20 million, some crazy amount of money, and they changed the game. They opened up the door for what we see today, good or bad, whether you like reality TV or not. The Osbournes were there. And of course, Changes is such a great song.
No Osbournes, no Hogan Knows Best.
Of course. No Osbournes, no Blowing Up probably, no anything. Ozzy's somebody who I think was mischaracterized. For a whole generation, he was this stay away from him, don't listen to him, he's bad. But when you listen now older, it's like that marketing was brilliant, but at the same time, it sort of made some of us miss out on some great music. He actually is a great singer, and a lot of his songs are really good. This is a nice song.
Yeah. He's not just. I picked the song because he's not just War Pigs.
No,
and,
of course not.
Paranoid and.
But also that song
Crazy Train.
Changes is a really great song.
Yes, great example
And
of
it's
it.
you can listen to
outlier
that, and
jam.
you can just if you're going through a down thing and you're listening to that song, that song could bring you to tears.
No more tears, Stu.
He had his thing with Lita Ford. I remember that one.
Yeah.
But Ozzy Osbourne is a legend, and the fact that he performed a couple weeks ago, and then he just died, it's like Gord, tragically hip. It's like he knew. Do you think Ozzy knew?
I don't think we have the answer to that question. He definitely knew it was the end of times, but I don't know. It almost sounds like maybe this was a scheduled mate or something. I think we need more info here, because he died less than a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
Here's how we're going out, okay, Stu? Since you were last here,
You and Snow have become best friends.
Snow.
Blue Jays have become a first place team. A lot has happened.
Everything is upside
Hulk
down.
Hogan died.
Who would have thought when you were here last time? Next time you're here, I'll be buddies of Snow.
Jays will be in first place,
Jays
and Hogan will be dead.
Hogan will be
And
dead.
Ozzy will be gone.
Ozzy will be gone, and Malcolm Jamel Warner as well.
Malcolm.
Tough week for the 80s, us 80s kids. Losing a kid from the Cosby Show, Ozzy Osbourne, and Hulk Hogan. But this is Snow, still alive and well. He's performing in Sweden tomorrow night. What's your personal relationship, Stu Stone, with the Snowman?
Well, I obviously was a fan back then. I was at dance parties in high school dancing to Informer, trying to impress the ladies with my Running Man or whatever I was doing at the time. But yeah, I did a movie called Vandits. And in the movie is an actor named Francesco Antonio who plays Vini. He's a fantastic actor. And he himself is a musician who is signed to Snow's label. DKO.
Right. Darren whatever K stands for, O'Brien.
Yes. And,
Kenneth, maybe? Kenneth?
They all have these like sort of vests that they wear, and they have patches, and it's a pretty cool. It's a tight knit group of guys. That's part of that DKO family. And Snow came to the premiere of Bandits, and I got to talk to him and meet him then. And I was very interested in his story, and he loves to tell it, and he tells it so well.
Yes, sir.
And since then, I've got to spend time with him a few more times. Most recently at the Trailer Park Boys premiere, I was with him, talking to him, and he was telling me more crazy stories. And I know that he was on your show, and he tells you, he's a good storyteller.
Good storyteller.
And I'm surprised that there hasn't been like a Snow movie, and I was trying to get him to give me the opportunity to like try to make that happen.
I can broker that deal. You still want it?
I'm pretty sure it's already happening with way above my pay grade.
I'm tight with his business manager / lawyer. Yes, Farbsy. Right.
Yeah. Right. But Snow, he's definitely he's a fan of The Remarkable One.
Oh, I know. We talked about it, and he's coming back in September, and we're going to talk a little more about that.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm a fan of Snow, and he's definitely a guy who has contributed to the reggaeton movement as well. A lot of that is from Snow, and he popularized a whole genre that like didn't exist before him. So good for him. I love that you're buddies with Snow, and shout out to the Snowman.
Why were you unable to attend TMLX 19 at Great Lakes Brewery? Were you out of town?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Because Snow was there.
Yeah, I heard that.
It would have been neat.
How did that go?
It was excellent. Great turnout, great vibes, great Palma pasta food, great beer from Great Lakes, great night. It was perfect.
I'm happy to hear that, and hopefully, my schedule one of these days will allow me to come and attend and give some hugs.
Well, we got one coming up,
folks. Yeah.
I'm
penciled in.
In September, you're penciled in. You're one of the 40. It's
yes.
TMLX 20 at GLB Brew Pub. Snow might make an appearance at this one, too.
Well, maybe I'll be back here before then. Maybe I won't. Who knows? But I always love coming and chatting with you, Mike. It's one of my favorite pastimes is to come and chat with you. I love that you are the guy, but I do think that you need to open your heart to the Toronto Blue Jays because something magic is happening here.
Message received.
And shout out to...
I'm pretty checked out right now, and it doesn't feel so bad, so I might stay. But I definitely will be going to a game with my daughter because she bought me a ticket for my birthday, and I'm looking forward to that. And I will absolutely tune in for Blue Jays playoff action.
Great.
And then we'll see what happens. I was a fan since '83.
Well,
I didn't make this decision lightly,
really
but
right
it
now.
Wasn't a decision. I'm going to do this unless they finish in first place.
Rest in peace, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, and Hulk Hogan is gone. Hulkamania lives on, but the man himself no longer is with us, and it's crazy that I'm the one that got to come and sort of memorialize Hulk Hogan.
Well, I can't think of a better person for this than the producer of Dark Side of the Ring. You were the ideal guest for me to book when I learned Hulk Hogan had passed away.
I love you, Mike, and I love this experience, and peace and love to all.
What's the next film project from 7 films?
Yes, well, to be determined. A lot of good stuff happening. I'll tell you off mic.
Oh my God, off mic. By the way, when Madsen died, my first thought was Reservoir Dogs co-star Chris Penn and your professional relationship with Chris Penn.
I was in a movie with Michael Madsen.
Which one?
It was called Fate Accompli. I think it was also called Voodoo Dawn in some markets. But I met him.
But your Chris Penn movie was bigger.
Bigger, much bigger.
The Boys? What was it called?
The Boys Club.
The Boys Club.
Yeah.
Chris Penn.
Nice guy Eddie.
Brother of Michael Penn and Sean Penn.
Yes. I didn't know Michael Penn was a Penn.
Yes, sir. That's and Michael Penn.
They're like the Baldwins.
Is married maybe to the Amy Mann from Till Tuesday.
Oh yeah.
And all that Magnolia music was.
That's right.
Those guys.
Huh? Who knew?
And that,
brother.
Let me check out in the live stream. Everybody okay there? Oh, so somebody's using my account, but it's not me. This is probably my son Jarvis. It was great, Ty Guy. Oh, I went to one game. I went to a Blue Jay game, but I only saw a couple of batters. I went with Tyler and Cam Gordon. We didn't watch any of that game.
Shout out to Rob, by the way. This is awesome.
Rob Butler?
No, yeah, him too.
Rob Pruce.
Yes.
Moose says, I made my decision, but I'm missing a great year. I'm okay with that. Don't worry about me. Enjoy your Blue Jays baseball. I don't happen to miss it. Not a fan of this
You are
administration.
missing out on some of
not
the
a fan
best.
of this ownership.
You're dumb. That's a good way to end
And
it.
that
and that
brings us to the end of our 1,734th show.
and that.
I am trying to get Dave Stieb in the Hall of Fame, by the way.
That would be amazing.
Go to TorontoMike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, Toronto's Waterfront BIA, Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, Building Toronto Skyline, and Ridley Funeral Home. See you all tomorrow, Monday.